The Avengers are not coming.
There's something wrong with me.
You got a convoy approaching fast. Step on it.
What kind of super serum did you get?
I don't know, regular. Hydra.
What about your hat?
The hat. The helmet?
Yeah, whatever you want to call it.
It's like cool, right? You like it?
Do you like the hat?
Yeah, I think the hat's pretty sweet.
Then cool.
You heard it up top. We're about to put an asterisk on this thing because we're talking about the one, the only, the Misfits, the come-togethers, certainly not the Suicide Squad because we're talking about Thunderbolts. Here on Normies Like Us with your hosts. Just Colin.
Okay. I'll just Mikhail Romanov.
This is Jacob, Tina, Allegra, Fontaine.
It's
Don't forget
Fontaine. Yeah, it's not the Department of Defense. It's Department of Defense. That's right.
That's right. Don't forget it.
Mm-hmm. So Thunderbolts are assembling. We got the Marvel Suicide Squad, as we would kind of mention. The concept of the ragtag group of heroes coming together, the underdogs, castaways.
Well, that's what I thought it was going to be. It was a little different than I expected, honestly, going into it. So it'll be interesting to talk about it. But Thunderbolts, asterisk.
Yeah, asterisk, for sure.
We should mention we're probably going to be talking some spoilers for this movie. So, just be careful if you haven't seen it yet. Maybe watch it before you listen to this episode, right?
Good call. Full spoilers on the asterisk. And
although I should say, Marvel doesn't really seem to care about spoiling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you say they're changing the name of the movie on posters and stuff to, what it's revealed to be in the end, so to speak.
3 days after the film release.
So screw anyone that didn't see it opening weekend. But
that probably feels a little rushed to me. But yeah, we're gonna be talking spoilers. But yeah, it's the old Thunderbolts. It's kind of like the ragtag group. We've seen a lot of these characters before. I think I mentioned, in previous episodes that I was actually looking forward to this because I like a lot of these random characters. I like U.S. Agent. I like Ghost from Ant-Man 2.
Yeah, that's
so I was kind of here for
it. This is the second Marvel film we've covered this year after Captain America. We're coming off some other stuff like Deadpool and Wolverine, Agatha, some of the TV fare we've covered recently.
Mm-hmm.
And every time we do these Marvel check-ins, we're always kind of like, this one I don't know, that one I don't know. Fantastic Four, hey, who knows? But Thunderbolts, we were always like, maybe. And you were always kind of like, I don't know, Thunderbolts looks fine.
I was into it too. I was looking forward to it.
Wow.
From the trailers and stuff. And I like these characters. And it is kind of like Marvel Suicide Squad. But what I like about it is that these are all established characters from different movies and sort of all rejects in their own way that then come together. So yeah, I was looking forward to it. The marketing looked good, and I saw, when I saw that Florence Pugh was jumping off a really tall building, Tom Cruise style, I was like, oh, they got me. That's what I want to see.
See, but I would argue, Jacob, that there's been 5 levels of marketing, which is the very generic, another Marvel thing is coming, where they try to bump you up for that. Then the sort of offbeat of but it's actually the bad guys Marvel movie. It's like the Suicide Squad. Like you said, it really doesn't kind of end up paying that off or embracing that.
It's a little different.
They did this really weird marketing campaign of from a guy who shot an A24 movie.
Yeah, all
from
the A24.
The writer of The Bear. From the director of
A24 MCU.
You're okay.
It's
and
a real movie.
Truly the 5th round was, and by the way, did we show you guys this special featurette where we're showing that these are practical stunts? And that's kind of where I was finally wait, what? Why didn't you lead with that?
Yeah. The marketing was kind of funny because they went at it from all these different angles. And that A24 trailer was very weird where they're like, look, you guys like these art house movies or whatever, right?
You make fun of us that we're these big commercial blockbuster things. Well, what if we prove to you that we bought all the people who make the stuff you really like to make this thing? And you're like, okay.
And I will say, it is like an A24 horror movie in that It's all about mental health, which I'm excited to talk about. I did not think it would be so much about mental health, so that's an interesting angle with the villain and everything. But yeah, the jumping off the building, which I saw like Florence Pugh in interviews was like, yeah, at first they weren't going to do it for real, and then I basically was like, hey, we should do it for real. And of course, the insurance companies didn't want to do it, but she kind of Tom Cruised her way into it. So I respect that because I like to see those real stunts, even though if it wasn't that important of a scene in a movie, other than it was her opening scene, I guess.
Well, we'll get into it. There's a metaphorical leap of faith perhaps that be made, but the second tallest building in the world, she really pushed for this stunt, and it's cool because like this is her only role that's really like this. She does like indie dramas and stuff. So to be like, I'm jumping off a building for my one action role, like I respect to you, Florence Pugh, like for real.
I respect it.
You didn't have
and
to
yeah, I'm a big fan of a lot of the cast. You got Florence Pugh, you got Sebastian Stan. These
Wyatt
are really
Russell.
Good actors. Wyatt Russell. So yeah, I was kind of looking forward to this group dynamic. Even Julia Louis Dreyfus. I'm a big fan of her.
To sum up our last couple thoughts, it's like all three of us on Deadpool and Wolverine were like, ooh, what a cash grab.
Yeah,
right.
What an incomprehensible thing. And then on Red Hulk, I think all three of us were kind of to the point of like, it's not bad, it's just not good.
So it was very messy.
Yeah, I was pretty out on Deadpool versus Wolverine. I was very out on Captain America: Brave New World. And I was pretty in on this, so we'll see where it ends up.
And I guess to wrap it all up, like we were saying, they're going to learn all the worst lessons from Deadpool and Wolverine, which seems to be the case with Doomsday, where they're like, here's all the Fox X-Men, here's all the Thunderbolts, like here's everybody from everything that's going to be in the Doomsday. It's going to be just like Deadpool and Wolverine. So this is kind of the thing that's separate from those things, at least.
Stands apart, I agree with you.
Yes. Last thing I just want to say up top, the next 3 MCU movies that will be coming out, do you know what they are? Next one is Fantastic Four.
Okay.
I got a trailer for with this.
Yeah,
film.
that's right. That's in June or July. Can't remember. Pretty soon, though. And it's pretty crazy. They did 3 movies in 2025 with Captain America, Thunderbolts, and now Fantastic Four. Then the next one after that will be next summer, 2026. It'll be Avengers Doomsday.
Wow.
Really?
So that's the next one after Fantastic Four. And then the next one after that, at least according to the schedule, is Spider-Man Brand New Day.
Sure.
So those are the next 3 movies that are going to be released. So
the Spider-Man film
some big
always
ones.
seems to follow in Avengers. That's their latest.
And that'll be between the 2 big Avengers, like there was the Ant-Man between Endgame and Infinity War and Endgame or whatever. Or there was a Spider-Man in between those 2, right?
Yeah, because Scott Lang was blipped. He was only freed when a rat walks across the council to release him. When he was in the quantum realm, he was trapped.
Yeah.
Jacob, no, obviously there was not, because Peter Parker was blipped in between.
Oh, he was blipped.
That's right.
Yeah. But wasn't there? Yeah, there was something that took place like before.
Right
Infinity
after
War.
Endgame is the Tony is dead one, which is that him going
Far
on
From
vacation?
Home?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He's going on a European vacation, but yeah, that's wild. But so this is like a little kind of pseudo mini story is kind of how it's been pitched, and then we have our Fantastic Four, kind of a period piece, and then it's a year before Doomsday. Interesting. So
yeah, I really think they're banking a lot on this Fantastic Four in terms of like, leading up to Avengers. Like I think they're going to be a big part of it. Obviously, the end of this movie hinting at the next movie. So I'm excited to talk all about it. Should we jump in and discuss Thunderbolts?
Oh, why? Can none of us fly?
Just punch.
We all
shoot?
just punch stuff and shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I got to follow my target in the next segment and take it out. So yeah, let's get on over there.
We're back here on Normies Like Us. We're talking the latest Marvel masterpiece, or at least we're going to find out if that's what we thought about the newest entry, Thunderbolts, ***. I certainly couldn't tell you what number project this is for Marvel. That's probably an impossible number to figure out.
65 million.
At least in the 65 million category, yeah, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, no idea.
Phase Phase 5 or Phase 6, or it's the end of Phase 5, right?
We've argued about that before. I don't know.
I should have looked it up beforehand.
No, it's impossible to know. Yeah, it's phased right through me as Ghost would do. That information.
That's right, Mike.
Yeah, but I want to. Yeah,
Sorry, just to clarify, it is the final film of Phase 5.
What?
Wow.
The most aimless phase of all.
So,
yeah.
Which is what this
What
movie's
does that
about.
mean?
What am I doing right now? What am I doing?
Phase 5
What's my
started with
purpose?
Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, The Marvels, Deadpool and Wolverine, Captain America: Brave New World, and Thunderbolts. Those are all the films that constitute Phase 5.
Oh,
So
they
tell
are
me
getting
what
shorter.
Phase 5 was about.
It doesn't matter.
It's about being listless and having no purpose. This is exactly what this
Right.
movie's about. Yeah.
It's about
Phase
being
5 is
filled
pointless.
with a void.
Void.
you could say, in fact.
Indeed.
Mm.
I do want to mention up top, though, because, we talked about our cast a little bit. We have Louis Pullman is Bob in this, who's going to feature heavily. But this was being
This
developed
Bob here. Yeah.
right early on with Steven Yeun attached. I think that's fairly well known. We have people who were working on Beef, which was a Steven Yeun project. So there's a world where Bob was going to be Steven Yeun, and I think COVID or something conflicted his scheduling. Something like
there's
that.
been a lot of... we've talked a lot about the Marvel movie process, and Mike, we kind of invented this term Marvel math, where it's like how many characters have contracts left, and this and that, and putting people together. This is certainly, again, a film that maybe seemed like fulfilling a lot of that stuff, and in its development... seem to be running into the same issues that a lot of these Marvel movies have, which is protracted development, rough shoot, tons of reshoots, recut in post, redone in post. But this film really instead seemed to get all its issues out in the beginning, which was a bad development process where the director stayed the same, but they swapped writers and swapped a lot of the cast. Ayoeda Beery was cast originally in the Mel part, which is now Geraldine Viswanathan.
Oh, wow.
And the Louis Pullman part as well, as you mentioned, Steven Yeun, coming off of Beef, seemed to be kind of blowing up, and instead they really went to a different direction here for what I would say is actually the positive. And we know now that the film was originally developed as being a die-hard film where it was specifically only around escaping the vault a mile underground. The rest of it...
That's an interesting concept. That's the first act in this. And then I guess, I think the other thing, which is the Steven Yeun note, is Invincible obviously was like, oh, get him in a live-action superhero role. But I think Louis Pullman does a great job.
Put him in a yellow and blue suit, Mike.
Yeah, talk about how strong he is. Yeah, please do that.
Louis
so
Pullman.
The whole thing, yeah. I didn't realize it was Bill Pullman's son.
That's what I was about to say. I did not realize that until I just read it. Bill Pullman's son.
Yeah.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got Bill Pullman's son and we got Kurt Russell's son in this movie.
He doesn't really look like him. I did not know that.
If you see a side-by-side of Independence Day, Bill Pullman and him, you're like, oh, yeah. It's kind of there.
It's a good-looking guy.
But so that's our Nepo squad, Wyatt Russell and Louis Pullman.
Nepo squad, yeah.
Kurt Russell being Star-Lord's father, famously Ego in the MCU.
Right. He had another kid named whatever his U.S. agent. I forgot his name.
U.S. agent. That's
Jack
right.
Quaid
John Walker.
His real agent saying, "How did I not get in that movie? I'm Jack Quaid. I'm the king of Nepo's sons."
Right.
Yeah, come on.
Too busy being in Companion.
You'll get there eventually, buddy. There's an X-Man or something you can do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I don't think he's allowed to be any. I don't think anyone from The Boys is allowed to be in any other superhero properties.
Oh. Well, it's a bummer.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyways.
That's how, so yeah, we have Florence Pugh is returning as, Yelena Belova. She's not really called Black Widow in this. She was supposed to be the next Black Widow. She's just kind of going by Yelena now. Sebastian Stan as Bucky Barnes, Wyatt Russell, U.S. agent, Olga Kurylenko as Taskmaster, Louis Pullman as Bob, and then we have David Harbour as Alexei, Red Guardian, and Hannah John-Kamen as Ghost. And I learned this doing research. One of her first roles ever was voicing a character in Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2.
Oh, wow.
Ghost is a talking cat in Dark Souls 2.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Of course, she was in your favorite Resident Evil movie, Welcome to Raccoon City.
Jill Valentine, my favorite character, of course. You know it.
That's right, Mike. You do love this character and actress. That's
yeah,
great.
I do. So I'm happy to see Ghost here. And yeah, that's kind of our ragtag group, and it kind of. And
So
we yeah, go ahead.
Well, so the amount of movies that you have to see to be familiar with all these characters,
and TV shows,
the Black Widow movie, yeah, of course, Ant-Man and the Wasp,
Sure.
Taskmaster was in
the Black Widow,
Black Widow
movie, yeah,
and then
U.S. Agent, Falcon and Winter Soldier show.
Yes, you had to watch the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, one of the worst Marvel streaming shows.
And then all the Winter Soldier saga, like 3 or 4 of those, maybe, if you want to just get the backstory.
Right. And you know what? I like the Black Widow movie more than most people seem to, I think. I think it wasn't amazing, but I thought it was an average to above average
have you seen it?
MCU. Once.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I've never rewatched it.
Yeah.
It was decent.
But it was my recollection, people like the character stuff. It just felt disconnected from it. And here is the giant CG spectacle that was done by a completely separate group of people, like while they're filming, intimate character stuff.
Right. I like that, Black Widow got her own movie finally. Scarlett Johansson.
That was part of the math too. She had it in her contract, like I'm supposed to get my movie.
100% the reason for that.
We're killing you off, but here's a movie.
You are dead.
Yeah.
We've already shown that you're dead, so let's figure out how to get you there now. Huh?
Right. But it introduced, of course, her extended family, including Florence Pugh and David Harbour, who I think were great additions to the MCU, especially Florence Pugh, who really, this is her movie. Like, if there's a main character of this movie, it's her. And I would say her and Bob to a certain degree, but she's really doing a lot of the emotional heavy lifting of this movie.
Yeah. And we literally open with her basically being in like a depression or a slump. Like, I don't know what I'm doing in my life. I just wake up, go to work, I go home to no one. Like, what is my purpose? I'm not fulfilled with the work. She's like very much in a slump.
She's drinking a lot. She's doing her Black Ops stuff for Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, the head of the CIA. Who, of course, we've seen her before in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Sure. And I guess the post-creds of Black Widow, where it's revealed that I think that's where you learn that Yelena is working with her, and then it's a big part of Hawkeye because Yelena gets the wrong info about Clint from Valentina. Yeah.
Who cares? Yeah.
Yeah. She also ends up getting U.S. agent reinstated after killing us.
Yes. Basically, all these people are working for her in different capacities, and she's sort of this shifty, morally ambiguous CIA leader, director, who used to work for a private company, I guess, and now works for the CIA, but is under investigation by the U.S. Senate. They're looking to impeach her because of her shady dealings.
I guess we can keep talking more about this as we go, and I'd love to hear you guys' just first thoughts even before we dig into all this. But I will say, just because you mentioned the political angle, Jacob, this is a movie about an impeachment.
Yes.
And the last film we covered was about a maniac in charge of the White House who can't.
And they mentioned that our last president turned into a giant red monster.
Red rage monster, she says.
Yeah.
I found this film to be 1,000,000 times more political than a film called Brave New World, which was about how evil the president is in an age where our president is an evil person. So
well, I think the big difference, this movie is actually about something.
Yes, it
is. I feel like Captain America: Brave New World wasn't really about anything except Harrison Ford turning into a Red Hulk.
Kind of.
If I get angry, my daughter won't talk to me. Yeah.
What I thought was interesting, I gotta see the trees.
The Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, who of course we've seen before, but I thought it was interesting. Of course, she's the director of the CIA. The way so this could be just totally fortuitous timing or just luck, but I was getting a lot of Tulsi Gabbard vibes from her with the streak of
that's interesting.
blonde in her hair, which is very, Tulsi Gabbard had that sort of highlighted streak. If you don't know who Tulsi Gabbard is, she was a former Democrat, now working for the Trump administration, director of the NSA, I think.
Right.
And a very interesting person. But
Bucky was giving me a lot of Pete Hegseth in this.
I think Bucky's on the good side. He's trying to impeach Valentina, right?
He's trying to, but I do regrettably live in the reality where I would rather have had a Red Hulk as the current sitting president and rather had Valentina as current CIA. Like, I would rather have these crook politicians than the real ones that I have.
Right.
Well, at least they
it
can
can't
do
be an
their
accident.
jobs.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if I would want this Valentina character being in our government. She seems pretty bad, but it can't be an accident, like the Tulsi Gabbard vibes that I was getting from her.
And how flippant she is in the opening scene with her trial, where she's like, "You guys aren't gonna pin shit on me. Like I'm untouchable." Yeah. That's very much the air of this cabinet. Is like, you can't do shit. You know.
I also should say she was in the Louis Dreyfus, very famous TV actress, mostly, of course, comedic actress, one of the greatest, I think. Seinfeld, obviously.
Oh, a little show called Seinfeld, you might have heard of.
Little show you might have heard of.
Who was she on that? She played Seinfeld?
She was Seinfeld, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But she was also in a show that I was a big fan of called Veep, right? Veep.
Yes.
On HBO Max, where she played the vice president in a satirical look at Washington, which is, I think, a very funny and well-written show. And she's really channeling her character in Veep in this. Like, it's essentially a variation on the same character, where she's this sort of morally ambiguous politician character. So I just want to mention that to say, watch Veep, because it's a really good show. And so check it out.
Veep. Okay. Yeah. And that definitely helps her with this character. She's, we have Yelena and Bob kind of leading this, but she's also one of the more enjoyable characters. I like all the characters, but
it's a big part
of
it.
Her take on Valentina is really well done. She can be charming and funny, but devious. I really like her take on Valentina.
Let's take a break there then before we even jump in to say, Mike, you say you like all the characters, you like all this.
Mm-hmm.
First impressions. What did you think of this movie?
Oh yeah, first impressions. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Without going too far into it, it's one of the best MCU things of the last 5 years, I think, at least.
Yeah, I would say, like I said, I was looking forward to it going into it. I maybe had high expectations. I liked it. I didn't love it. And I thought it was pretty good, but not great. But I do think, in terms of compared to other MCU projects, I do think it's one of, if not the best, of the last couple of years. So, like, compared to obviously Brave New World, I think it's better than that. I think it's better than some of these other movies that have come out, the Marvels, whatever.
Didn't even see that one.
Yeah.
But Colin, what did you think?
So in terms of, if you're comparing it to other MCUs, I did think it was good, but I thought I did have some problems with it, but overall I'm pretty positive on it.
And I will be asking you guys at the end if you've rewatched those, or I guess even in Mike's case, if he's watched them, which we know the answer is no. But
I'm hard sell.
Jacob, I'm right there with you. Like, one, I'm stunned to even be on the like it spectrum. Then, two, that I really liked it. I don't love it, because kind of the more that I think about it, I'm like, wait, were any of these characters really that developed? Or like,
I thought it had a few holes, or like the structure of it is kind of weird.
It is.
And
there's 2 fights in the movie, and they're not even really huge, big, knockdown, a super team coming together brawls. They're kind of just like very quick little vignettes. Almost.
It's a very, it's almost it's like I mentioned up top. It's all about mental health.
But here's the thing.
I can't punch my feelings. Like,
that's boy. You literally tried to by the end of this movie punch your feelings to death, and another character says like, "Stop that," and then they all have a group hug. Mm-hmm. Jacob, what I adored about this movie, whether or not I like it or not, or whatever its quality is, if it's the best thing ever made or the worst thing ever, is that this is about something. This is a movie that's about, what if 5 people who wanted to commit suicide were all put together?
The real Suicide Squad.
All
Yeah.
they think about, is how they don't deserve to exist.
A bunch
There's
of
a moment
depressed
in this
people. Yeah.
where our most lighthearted little boy, Wyatt himself, son of the funnest Santa Claus who ever existed, like looks down at a ledge and is like, "Should I just kill myself?" Like you can
Right.
tell, like that's what he's thinking about, and you're like,
Well,
"Oh my god!"
Yeah.
Literally, the villain in this movie that they're fighting is the physical manifestation of depression. Right? That's
Yeah.
what the Void is. I mean,
Incredible.
we have to talk about Bob /
Yes.
Sentry / the
Yes.
Void, his transformation over the movie. I thought that was really interesting, a really interesting way to introduce this character who's the villain of the movie, but really I would say the real villain is Valentina.
This,
Mhm.
this is
Yeah.
a movie where people are shot in the head. This is a Marvel film, which is owned by Disney, where people are shot in the head. There is blood. There is cursing where people say shit and, dumbass and things like that. And one of the characters says, "Well, you have to understand, I was on meth when I did that."
Yeah,
I was
that's
on
true. That's a
crystal
line that happens
meth,
in
he
this.
admits.
So we have
I have
a
addiction
character,
issues. He says that very quickly. It's like,
Disney
look, I have
said no
I have a
cocaine.
problem.
But
and he
meth is
has
fine.
mental illness. I mean, he's like bipolar, manic depressive.
Schizophrenic.
Yeah, like it's not really, he's not diagnosed, of course, it's specifically, but it's alluding to those things where you have this character of Bob who was part of this experimental drug trial that to make him a superhuman, basically, and to replace, because of course in the post Endgame world, we don't really have an Avengers right now. We have
Why
like,
is that?
they're all kind of off doing their own thing. They're either dead or an old man or whatever
space.
Thor's
But,
doing. Yeah.
Like, our president shook hands with Captain America, was like, "I want you to put the Avengers back together."
Yeah.
You're
And then he
kinda
turned
like,
into the Red Hulk.
well, where are they? What are you talking about? And then I guess why doesn't he do that? And then I guess I just don't understand why no one is in charge of this. It's like, is Pepper Potts not paying the bills after Tony died? So like
They
nobody can
apparently
get a
sold it
salary
to
to go?
the government, the building of the Watchtower. But
She's
everyone,
making
a lot of
candles.
the big Avengers characters are kind of in a state of flux where you have Spider-Man after the events of his last movie. He's kind of becoming a low-key, like everyone's forgotten about Spider-Man, right? Because of that spell.
Yeah.
So he's doing his thing. Doctor Strange, I don't know what the fuck he's doing.
He revealed to have a third eye at the end of his movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that means
Charlize
nothing.
Theron showed up at one point. That
It's
didn't
like,
go
come
anywhere.
with me, and then
Oh,
maybe
that's
he's
right.
never been seen again. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess
I was
Captain
watching
Marvel's,
a-
like in space, so
Thor's
Speaking
in
of that,
space too. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched a compilation of every post-credit sequence from the last couple years that has gone nowhere, and there's a surprising amount where it's just like they introduce something and then that's never gotten brought up
Hercules.
again. Yeah, Hercules,
Oh, jeez.
all these different ones, and that's why I say like Phase 5 has been so nebulous, and like every multiverse movie has had a new rule about the multiverse that none of the other movies seem to know. It's just like what's happening here. So it's so unfocused. But essentially, the state of the world is that there's no heroes to protect anybody anymore because they're all doing their own thing or dead.
You think Deadpool ever dream walks to his other multiverse bodies?
Right.
he must.
Yeah, and like how does that conflict with Loki? What happened in Loki season 2 and all these different things, the TVA.
If there's a sacred timeline, why do we have to go through the motions of fighting a Thanos if we're always going to beat him anyway? Like, it gets very messy if you really dig into it. But
essentially, there's no Avengers anymore. They're all kind of doing their own thing, and then you have this loose group of rejects and losers, basically, who are all like Black Ops agents that come together and make an unlikely team.
Right, but
called the
I
Suicide
guess
Squad.
It's called the Suicide Squad, exactly.
They all want to commit suicide.
Called Task
That's
Force
right.
X.
Task Force X. But yeah, Valentina's kind of role in this is she's sending people to kind of clear up loose ends before her impeachment, because her thing was this super soldier program. If I can create a superhero that I can control, then I can fill the vacuum left by having no Avengers, and I'll be in control of that whole thing. So that's
the Century
kind of her
program.
goal. Yes.
And yeah, you're right. She's cleaning up loose ends, which means also just killing people, of course, because people can be loose ends. So she essentially sends a bunch of her agents to the same stronghold vault area to kill each other, and then she's going to incinerate them all just to really tie up all the loose ends, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's Yelena, U.S. Agent, Taskmaster, and Ghost all get sent to the same place to kill each other. So they all have different targets, and then they kind of realize what's happening. Not before Taskmaster gets got, but which brings me to my first problem with this movie. Okay, can we just talk about this? Why is Taskmaster even in this movie?
Well, I heard a rumor that there was more Taskmaster and Ghost stuff, which is why maybe Ghost feels less fleshed out. Is that in the rewrites, they're like, maybe let's not keep Taskmaster in this. That might have been a late stage thing, so they maybe
I just don't understand, like,
this.
Yeah, like I suspected from the trailers and stuff that she was going to be killed off early on, and a lot of people did because she's not in the promotional materials as much. But I didn't expect it to just be the way that it happens right in the beginning, and it's like, why even put her in the movie if you're going to just kill her off like that for no reason?
Would you wear that outfit if it wasn't bulletproof, Jacob?
Right, yeah, shot right in the mask, and the mask doesn't even protect you.
Yeah, that's true. We got a loophole initially, but yeah, because there was scenes in the trailers, early trailers, where Taskmaster would be there, and then in like the second, third trailers, they wouldn't even put her back in that shot. They would just say, "We're not even pretending anymore that she's going to be in this movie." So that was kind of a strange thing.
And Olga Kurylenko, I mean, what's she thinking? You got me.
She was a Bond girl.
Back. Yeah, she was a Bond girl. Right. Quantum of Solace.
Right.
One of the best Bond
laughing
movies,
even at the name. It's so good.
Yep.
Yeah, like why? I just didn't I didn't understand that. Why bring her back at all just to kill her?
Why take your mask off for that one scene where they say, "Antonia, you don't need to do this," and she goes, "I'm not here for you."
Is that the only day she was there?
It must have been
in person. Is it just so anybody's expendable? Anybody can go at any time on this team. They're trying to say, look.
Yeah. I don't know. That was one of the weaker parts to me. And Colin, of course, you were predicting some things up top, and you told me, you predicted that. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, Jake and I were playing Rivals, Mike, and we were talking kind of like right before our viewings of this to say, like, well, what do you think? What do you think? And I can't remember if we made this joke on air or off, but we were talking about the Bucky reciting our favorite video game meme.
Yes.
Armed and dangerous. Again.
Hitting the line.
And I was saying to Jacob, this has to be it for Bucky, because he doesn't seem like he wants to be here anymore. He's now an Academy Award nominated person. He wants to be a prestigious actor, it seemed like, but boy, was there egg on my face at the end of this thing when I read on Wikipedia that he's considered the leader of the Thunderbolts / what they become.
You were predicting that Bucky was going to die in this movie, and I said there's no way. Like he's first of all, he's going to be in Avengers Doomsday.
There was of course the 4-hour-long video of the chairs that we haven't talked about yet, where people stand by the Doomsday chairs to go like, and Bucky's here. We were like, yeah. And I said to Jacob, I was like, those could be lies. Why would they tell you that stuff about Thunderbolts?
Taskmaster.
It doesn't surprise me that much. I mean, Infinity War and Endgame weren't like every MCU actor in that too. So like, it doesn't surprise me that like every actor that they can get is going to be in Doomsday. Like that's what those Avengers movies are for, to team up the whole team, right?
If it worked once, we could try it again.
David Harbour just also seems so like just so set up to give what is her name? Yavanna? What is it?
Yelena,
thank you. Yelena, sort of an emotional push or whatever. So I thought maybe David
I thought if anyone was expendable aside from Taskmaster, it was going to be Red Guardian. Of course, he's doing his Stranger Things. Well, although that's coming to an end, so he's done with Stranger Things. But he's getting that MCU money.
I tell you, I was kind of surprised. Like I figured Taskmaster wouldn't be in it long, but that moment took me by surprise. I was like, oh damn! Like I was kind of okay with it in the moment, that with that opening melee with everybody, and I like that fight sequence, particularly when the knife goes from target to target to target. That's very well done.
That was cool. Yeah, it's just Taskmaster's desk just felt so uneventful to me. And then it's like they immediately decide to team up after that. And it's like, oh, you couldn't have decided to team up before you shot me?
They did not mourn her at all. Yeah.
Yeah. One person then. Why did you do that?
Right.
Yep.
But I did like that whole scene of first the fight in the vault and then them escaping and having to climb up the elevator shaft and stuff. Like, I liked all that stuff. That was good stuff.
Yeah,
right?
we bump into the council where Bob wakes up while they're fighting. It's kind of, he's in the background. But I do like this fight. I like getting to see Ghost powers when she phases away and then catches the knife. I always said she had really cinematic powers and they didn't get used enough. So I appreciate seeing all that.
Yeah.
Shout out to former host of this podcast, Joe, who, when this movie was announced, and if you look back at the D23 released concept art image of this film, it is the same team, but every character is wearing a different costume. Red Guardian's wearing this cool, like, sort of like jacket, red armed thing, with hair. Like he's not just, dirty hobo Santa, as they refer to him in this movie.
Who's this dirty old Santa?
And when Joe saw that lineup, he said, well, Ghost is the only one that I'm interested in because all the others are just failed super soldiers. And I really went into that too, being like exactly the joke that they make in this movie of, we all just punch and shoot? That's so dumb. What does that matter? But I thought they were actually pretty creative about the different uses sometimes. But then other times it felt so lost, like Red Guardian fighting later, he's using like the straps on his suit. I'm like, what are those? I've never seen those before.
It's like Eastern Promises, like towel jutsu or something from Russia. I don't know.
Well, yeah, you're right. You have 3 different characters who are all essentially attempts to recreate a Captain America. You have the Winter Soldier, who was like Hydra's answer to Captain America. Then you have the Red Guardian, who was the USSR's answer, Russia's answer to
what super
Captain
serum
America.
you get? Yeah.
Right. Oh, normal, I guess. Hydra.
Oh, Hydra kind. Very fancy.
Yeah.
And then you have
still good. Yeah, anyway.
U.S. Agent John Walker, who's another Captain America retread, but sort of a dark Captain America that maybe everyone forgets that he murdered a guy in front of the public. That was sort of his whole scandal in the Captain and the Winter Soldier. Or
well, I actually was the official Captain America for what, a day? They say
for 2 seconds.
Yeah,
but regular Captain America killed a lot of people too. Lest we forget, going to Germany and stuff. But it's like he was punished because his situation created bad PR for the U.S. government. They weren't necessarily even mad that he killed a guy. It's like people recorded on their phone, and that's bad PR. So we have to punish you because of that almost. It's like it's all optics. So he really got fucked.
But he was like the dark Captain America.
He was working for the government specifically. Yes.
Yeah, he would be like Trump's Captain America.
Exactly. So then he's like having trouble at home. I like that he's just saying, I got a wife and kids. I'm different from you guys. But he's lying the whole time. That was
I got people waiting for me.
Yes.
Right.
So they come together. I like when he does his jump up the shaft. Let me check this out. And it's like, how strong is this guy? He jumps like 100 feet in the air.
Fucking high. Actually, we're really far down.
This is pretty bad.
Well, the funny thing that they come up with, obviously, or it's Bob's idea to all go back to back to back to back to put their, climb up the elevator shaft by using their body to hold each other in place and climb up the sides of the walls. I don't know if they would really be able to do that. Although you do have, a super strong guy, so that can help.
Yeah, that is one of those. I think like that's like a SWAT or a SEAL Team 6 like training thing. I think you have to do that or whatever.
Yeah, you have to have pretty good core strength, but I guess they all are like, Black Ops agents and stuff.
Even if Bob doesn't know it, he's low key very strong too.
He's like Superman apparently. So.
But a mile, they say this facility is a mile underground, and I'm like, I don't know if you're doing that for a mile.
No.
And then it's very funny when they get to the top and they're like, wait, now what do we do?
Yeah.
Because they can't, like, if someone tries to go for the door, then the other 3 will fall down, and that's a very funny
Bob's saying he's not good with heights and stuff. Didn't consider how high they'd be up, and then he doesn't want to look down and him being violated. later.
Just the whole "where did you come from?" too. He's like, I don't know what I'm doing here. Like that stuff is working very well.
know.
This kind of aloof Bob. I don't know what's going on.
Well, it's
Yeah,
and you know
Bob-
what? Just to rewind, the reaction is that she's shot in the head, and you immediately hear someone vomiting, and then he's like,
Yeah.
oh, blood.
Yeah, you're like, who's this
Yeah.
guy? Bobby? But the character of Bob, what an interesting character. The way he transitions throughout the film. So of course he starts as Bob, the medical patient who does not remember anything. He's got amnesia basically. Then we find out that he actually has superpowers. He was part of this drug trial.
Hand at one point, like after they escape the incinerator, and we learn that you can kind of phase into your memory. We're starting to get hints that he has something going on there, and he does it with Walker later.
If you touch his hand, you relive your worst memory. You relive your trauma, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, he's got like 3 different phases throughout this movie. So he's got Bob, then he's got Sentry, where Valentina turns him into the superhero, the Sentry, this golden god.
Good boy. What does she say?
Golden god with the power of 1,000 exploding suns, something like that.
Yeah. And he's going to be like the new Avenger because he's stronger than all the Avengers.
She wants to do a Homelander, basically.
Yeah.
Is her plan.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the Void, which we can talk about. I don't want to get too far ahead, but very interesting way to introduce this character. Very interesting development over the film. So I did like that aspect of it for sure.
It's one of my favorite villains that they've done in Marvel films, I think.
Yeah, and as we get to the top of the facility and we're going to escape, you know, we start seeing how everybody interacts with Bob, and they're all dismissive in their own way. Like, Walker's like, all right, Bobby, that's a dumb idea. He's like, oh, you're an asshole. Why are you Captain America? Yelena doesn't want to let him help in the fight. She's like, just stay behind me. You're useless. People are like, they're not believing in Bob to contribute. Right, he's just some guy.
They don't know anything about
his character.
Very interesting. Right. Yeah. Let's talk about the moment. So after this moment where they escape the furnace before they climb up, there's sort of an explosion with the fire that knocks them all. The way that they land, Bob and Yelena are touching a little bit. This is the first invasion. The little girl who plays little Yelena is the lead in Megan Mathregan, and she is in the Megan 2.0.
Oh, really?
I do have to shout that out real quick.
Nice.
She played Megan?
No, she plays the human little girl who's the
niece
friend of yes, exactly.
Okay.
By the way, I got
what's her name? Allison Williams.
Allison Williams. Brian Williams' daughter.
Gets her ass eaten. That's what I was hinting at in Girls. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, she was in Girls. I got the trailer for Megan 2.0 in front of this movie.
Oh my God. I cheered when it happened. I was like, yeah.
I don't know. They've really escalated the stakes of Megan 1 to now there's this rogue robot running around killing people, the Terminator basically, and they have to rebuild Megan or put her back into a robot body so she can stop this rogue robot. I was like, this is getting a little silly.
It's T2. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's 100% T2. And my hope is in the third one they hunt Malignant. It's Megan versus Malignant.
Yeah, versus Companion, and Sophie Thatcher's there, like, hey, I'm Companion.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
I want to talk about this scene just real quick because Mike brought up these nightmare that we're gonna get.
It's like their trauma rooms.
They're trauma rooms. We don't get them for every character, so you can sort of rank the importance of characters to this movie on whether or not if they get them. Yelena's is the first task and first kill she was ever a part of. It's her sort of pointing out another little girl in her red room training, which brings a Russian officer out to shoot the little girl. Did you guys see the trailers where the man who shoots this little girl is David Harbour?
Whoa, no, I didn't see that. That was in the trailer? That's crazy.
That was in the first couple trailers that this film released. You got to see some flashback material of a young David Harbour with like just a mustache with this young version of Yelena. I wonder if they were like, well, no, you're never going to like this character if he killed a little girl. I think it's very interesting that we never see his trauma. We never see Bucky's. We really only see Walker's. We never see Ghost. Like, it seems like a lot of these scenes have been shuffled around.
Yeah, and I wonder if there's deleted scenes somewhere of those, because, like, I would have liked for the, not to jump too far, but for the ending sequence, I would like to have seen all of that stuff. Each character.
I don't understand how we didn't go through a whole net of every single character.
They just wanted to focus on Yelena and Bob. Right, exactly. Yeah, so I would have liked to see more of those, but we do get to see Yelena's, and this is a Disney movie, and they're like, we will kill a child. That's fine.
And they say, and just to talk about that scene real quick at the end, sorry, but real quick, they go like, Yelena goes, "You made it here? You made it through all the darkness?" And Bucky goes, "Yeah, even my head had some real screwed up ones, but we're here." And you're like, wait, what was in Bucky's head? Like, what was his workday?
That's why I like the idea of some of this, but some of the execution, I thought could have been better. But the Yelena scene, I was like, why? Okay, I was confused by that scene because, like, why are they killing this little girl? Like what lesson is she learning? Like, she's almost, just like,
but the way that it comes off with her being like, she's here, and then an adult killing her, it's almost like something out of like World War II of like locating a Jew, you know what I mean? Like, it seems so like, and then I gave you up
part of her training,
or
to see if she could just like watch someone be killed in front of her and not react or something.
Someone she's friends with have no empathy, remove the empathy from you at a young age. I'm assuming something like that, remorselessness.
Yeah. Well, like, it seems like a waste of like is this other girl that they're killing like another one of the widow programs, because they're just killing assets.
She put her rifle together slowest, okay?
Yeah. That's the other scene. You get the scene where they're putting their guns together. The one who finishes first is her, but then the rest of them get whipped on their hands.
Well, Yelena gets like 5 scenes. It's incredible. Jacob, you never watched the Section 31 Star Trek movie, right?
No.
That's my trauma room.
Of course not.
Mike, you did, right?
Yeah. I hate it.
So
I will never watch
film starts with Philippa Georgia, or whatever her name is.
Yes. The mirror universe version of her.
Yes,
which is
like, a young Michelle Yeoh.
Big thing in Discovery. Yeah.
And her and a young boy are both being raised in this death room program, and it basically comes down to, can you kill each other? Do you have the guts to kill each other?
Right.
That's not what this is. It's not a fight between these two little girls in Thunderbolts.
No, she just kind of shows up
she's like, there, get her. And you're like, what?
We're going to frolic in the woods. Meet me at 6:00. All right, I got her out here.
I tricked her. I killed the girl.
Yeah.
Philippa Georgiou was introduced in Discovery, and then the reveal is that she's actually the mirror universe, from the mirror universe, which everything is evil and opposite, and she's part of the Terran Empire, which is like an evil version of the Federation and whatnot. So,
but
I'm gonna have to insist that you watch that movie. Actually,
I'll watch that as soon as you watch Andor.
Oh yeah, that's a fair trade.
Equivalent exchange.
Actually, good thing. Yeah. But so we see, the traumas. By touching Bob's hand, you kind of relive your worst trauma, your worst memory.
And the fun thing is that he's there. He's got this goofy medical outfit the whole
hanging
time.
Out with you.
And this look on his face is constantly always like, oh,
like, what the heck's going on here? Yeah.
What did I just do to you? That's interesting. Yeah.
And this character is so interesting because, again, the way he's introduced, it's like, you don't really, you kind of find things out about him slowly. And at first he's just kind of this medical patient where you're like, what the fuck is going on with this guy? And he doesn't even remember his past. He starts to sort of remember things slowly. But essentially he was like, again, he had some mental health problems. He was a drug addict. He was in Malaysia or somewhere.
Kuala Lumpur. I figured at least I could get drugs there, he says.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just hanging around in Kuala Lumpur trying to find himself. Signs up for this experimental drug trial that can make you into a superhuman.
And make you better. That is what he specifically hones in on. I want it to be better.
Mm-hmm.
But it's important to note, and they say this, Valentina says this in the movie, like, he was never supposed to become the Sentry. He was a test subject in the pre-trial stages before they actually get the right subject to make into Sentry. Because of his mental health problems, they were never going to consider him for the actual Sentry. So he was always going to die eventually because they were going to get rid of the loose ends, right?
Oh yeah, I think it's implied that like he did die, and he was just in that box to get incenerated, but then he like somehow through his super.
I don't think he
the
died.
treatment.
I just thought they put him down there to incinerate along with all the other evidence and stuff. But
you
Well,
keep
when he
saying
woke
that
up.
you told me none of them survived. I
Right.
also assumed that he died.
Yeah, because they're like, if he survived, it means it works. That's what Mel says, and that's when it said, okay, we need to capture him alive now. Yeah.
Yeah, he must have died because he does die later, right? When they use the kill switch on him, and that's what turns him into the Void when his dark side takes over.
Yeah, because they have their iPad and they're monitoring the events. Like, oh, our 4 guests are still alive. Oh, there's a 5th. Now they're working together. What if I told you they joined forces
Right.
against you? Would you believe it?
Did you guys like any of Geraldine Viswanathan's lines? I found this to be very memer, zoomer humor, and almost her having to say, well, you got to understand, the Avengers, they came together when I was in high school. It's almost like Kevin Feige is talking to the young audience to be like, remember, you grew up on this. You should still like this.
Right. Well, you got to remember that the blip happened, and that was 5 years. So
True.
Endgame was 5 years, or Infinity War was 5 years ago from when they came back from the blip, and now it's been a couple of years through all of Phase 5. So it's been like
15 years.
I don't know if it's been 15 years, but it's been like maybe 10 years, right, since the blip.
So I assume so. It's lost on me, but
yeah. But essentially, the whole state of the world, everyone's like, yeah, we used to have these Avengers that like protected us from aliens and stuff.
That was nice.
Yeah. And now we don't have anything. Like, and the world sucks, and now there's like new threats coming up all the time.
Kingpin's running.
And yeah, there's a lot of
crazy.
Yeah, I feel like there is a lot of political implications.
Kingpin's mayor, as Mike just said right now.
Kingpin is mayor of New York City.
What does old Hornhead himself think about the Void turning New York into the Shadow Realm?
That's why I was like, where's Daredevil when New York's being turned into... Yeah, right.
Where's
Spider-Man?
Well,
that's
he
a
wants
good
to come out, but Sony is standing in his room with a gun saying, "You stay
Don't
put, young man.
Don't move. We'll blow the bomb in your brain if you move."
But I did see online someone made a joke that like this movie is hearkening back to the classic era of MCU when they made movies during the airing of a Daredevil show and refused to mention him. Just like when he was on Netflix and they refused to mention him in the MCU movies.
And Mike's not watching that, but it's just so weird to be like, the whole premise is Kingpin's like, New York doesn't even need vigilantes. And it's like, what are your little cops going to do against the Sentry? Like, what? The Void?
Right.
Like, what is this?
Right.
The whole town was swallowed by a black infinite nothingness for like a couple minutes.
And my police officers went out and wrote a ticket.
No, the therapy rates for that entire city, everyone just stuck in a trauma room for like hours.
Yeah, everyone's reliving their worst
Where
memories.
does the little 4-year-old girl go? What is her horrible memory that she's stuck in eternally?
I don't know.
But I did think they were dusking her. But my thing for the Sentry, like why there's no heroes, it's very hush-hush. It's very like secret. Like it's not public. And by the time he goes Nova, like there's no time to respond. Like
it's like an hour of it.
Exactly. Yeah. That's
well, right.
I think
that's
it's
why
perfectly fine. Jokes aside,
the Thunderbolts were only there because they were there. Like that's the only reason they were able to be heroes, because they just happened to be on scene at the moment. But yeah, it's all a secret operation. That's what Valentina's being impeached for, basically.
Until she's posting it on Signal on the back of David Harbour's limo. We must get my super weapon, and he overhears them.
I was to say, Mike, she's just waiting to get blown by a cell phone text gone wrong.
Again,
believable.
Yeah, I thought the coincidence of David Harbour being the limo driver that's driving her at the time, and she's like talking about this with her aide, like, yeah, we need to make sure we kill all these secret people that we're trying to kill. That's a little coincidental. I mean, they do set it up earlier that like he's he's a limo driver and he's trying to network and do what Yelena does. So he says, "Yeah, I finagled my way into driving Valentina because I thought I could like network
Pitch her
with
for a job.
Where do you think Rachel Wise is, Jacob?
I don't know. What happened? I had to
Were they
rewatch
married?
Black
I don't
Widow.
understand. I can't
They
even.
Were
a
married.
fake family though. There was like a
Yeah.
Russian
Yeah.
spy family.
Well, yeah, they
behind
were like the show The Americans, which is a show that I am a big fan of. They were
Mhm.
secret Soviet spies implanted in deep state in America in the 1980s. Sleeper agents. But I did think that they actually had they were in a real relationship though, like in Black Widow. So I don't
It
know.
felt like, so why didn't Alexei stay in touch with Yelena after this horrible loss of losing
I think
their
he's
other
just
daughter?
a bad dad.
He's just a piece of shit.
And he's also
Yeah.
not literally her dad. I think he needs to become.
Well, he's like her
accept that
adopted
responsibility. Exactly,
The
but he's
video that
not the
he is
greatest.
watching of him in Stalingrad or like Leningrad Square or whatever, of just
Oh,
like
yeah.
waving at all the people, and he's like, so big, so strong, and he's like
yeah.
so proud of himself.
Yeah.
Well, he's missing the glory days.
he was the Soviet Captain Soviet
Captain
is what he
Soviet.
was.
Yeah, well, they
Reminds me
literally
of
had to.
Superman Red Sun. Yeah.
No, and they had to break him out of prison in the Black Widow movie. He was forgotten in that society too.
Yeah.
He was just in
Yes.
prison.
Yeah, that's right.
He was in the Gulag.
Yeah.
The Gulag. Oh
In El
boy.
Salvador.
Can I just to spoil another would have been post cred scene.
Yeah.
So we get this great through line joke, which is that when Yelena is so depressed, she goes and visits Alexei before she goes on this final job, which ends up being the incinerator, which is how they made Bob, which is how the Thunderbolts all get together. We get the name for the Thunderbolts, and that she turns in his apartment and looks and sees this picture and goes, "Why do you have this picture up?" And he says, "That picture? The Westchester, what are they?"
It's her childhood soccer team that she was on when she was in America, the Westchester
Greater
Thunderbolts.
Westchester Thunderbolts, brought to you by
Shane's Tires.
Shane's
Or they argue
Tires.
about who the sponsor
They
was.
disputed over who it was. Yeah.
Yes.
We were terrible. We didn't win a single game. A girl pooed in the middle of the
We were
field.
the worst ever. A girl took a big shit in the middle of this game. It's a story they tell later. They constantly are talking about the soccer thing to the point where the other members are annoyed. And Ghost is the best, where literally she brings up later the girl pooping, and it makes me laugh. The post-cred scene was supposed to be them watching a VHS recording of the soccer match where the girl poops. And why the writer threw it out was, we revealed in the Black Widow movie that this entire family was stationed in Ohio, and that they were doing.
There is a Westchester, Ohio.
There is a Westchester, Ohio, where I'm from.
Right. The home of Colin Brooks.
And they're doing perfect English accents, and they didn't want to go back to reference that because the writer said, of course, the secret weapon of this movie is that David Harbour is a goofy cartoon character who does the dumbest voice the entire time, and we can't remind people that he sounds normal and is smart.
Right. But of course, when they were deep sleeper agents,
so hard.
True,
Yes.
yeah.
They had to have American accents, which again, like Scarlett Johansson always had an American accent when she was playing Black Widow.
She never once did what Florence Pugh's doing, which is a pretty horrible Russian accent.
I like her Russian accent.
I like it too, but I don't know if it's accurate. But I like it. I don't care.
I don't know if it's accurate, but
it's certainly not.
I
am Russian accent, you might say.
The vodka, daddy.
Kate Bishop.
Look, I think I like Florence Pugh though.
I love everything about her. The first film I ever saw her in was Midsommar. She was already a big deal. It felt like by that point, or the sort of the girl Timmy Shals, where it seemed like
she was. Her breakout role, I'll remind you, was the Paige biopic movie where she played the wrestler Paige.
Oh,
God bless
Fighting
her.
with My Family.
Love that movie. I love that movie. Yes.
Yeah,
right.
And she did that. Then she did Midsommar. She did, Little Women. So she started doing all these Oscar type movies, of course. Several times nominated. Sebastian Stan Oscar nominated. So you got some real actors in this movie, like compared to. She is British, Florence Pugh. But I just like compared to the original Avengers team, like you have some really good actors, I think. Like, of course, you had, Robert Downey Jr. has been nominated or won for Oppenheimer, I guess. Scarlett Johansson's been nominated, but Chris Evans has never been nominated for an Oscar. Chris Hemsworth's never been nominated for an Oscar, So you have these more higher level actors, I guess, in this movie, which I think helps a lot with the emotional weight of it all.
And doing what they do good. The A24 stuff is not a joke. And the number of people I saw online being like, I love when Florence Pugh does the thing she does best, the scrunched cry face. She's great at
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. She was in, have you seen the movie that she's in with Andrew Garfield where like it's about
the horse one?
Oh, in a
cancer and
in a place of time or something
Yeah.
it's called? Yeah, I have seen that.
We Live in Time.
We Live
the
in
horse
Time.
picture, very funny meme from that. But yeah, it's a very emotional movie about her relationship, and then she gets cancer, and it's like, yeah. So she does, serious acting. And this is kind of her. Well, it's interesting. I was thinking about the Hawkeye stuff with her and Haley Steinfeld, and now you got Sinners and Thunderbolts in the theaters at the same time. It's like these girls, they're coming up,
Yeah,
they're doing great.
Absolutely. Kate Bishop.
We love them.
Is it macaroni? You have one fork. I'm one person.
You have the what's the sriracha?
sauce?
She's like, you have the sriracha. I like the hot sauce. Yes, good.
I'm not trying to kill you, Kate Bishop. But yeah, I think again this is her only kind of weird action role. She does do more dramatic stuff, and there's a lot more dramatic scenes for Yelena in this specifically because of like her dark past kind of stuff, and that's good. We see Wyatt's room is like he's just being a shitty father because he can't get over that he got fired as Captain America. We later find out his wife left him and took the kids, even though he's been saying people are waiting for me. That's when he's at the elevator shaft, and Bob kind of saves him once they get to the top.
That's when he sees the darkness. But the moment that sold me on Walker completely, Mike, and I think he's one of the underrated weapons of this entire film, Wyatt, is when they are tied up by Bucky, and Bucky says, Walker, I know you, man. Like, I know your wife's gone, blah, blah, blah. And Florence Pugh turns to him and looks shocked, and he looks at her and gives a little like shrug of like, yeah, like I'm a piece of shit too. And it is great. It is a really nice small moment in this movie.
Yeah.
That is full of character moments. That's what this movie does well. Yeah.
Now, Bucky's role in this movie, I thought it was interesting because it was different than I expected. He's not in it as much as I expected. Like he's not as big of a character. And like from the marketing, what I thought, this is why I say it was different than what I thought it was going to be, but not necessarily in a bad way. But from the marketing, it did look more like it's Marvel Suicide Squad. Valentina's getting all these rejects together in a group called the Thunderbolts that are going to take down the Void, the big bad of the movie. And that's not really what happens. It's more like they kind of come together independently of her, and actually she's trying to kill them all. And then Bucky just kind of comes into the picture later. Yeah.
If you're like me, Jacob, what you think when you look at that chemistry concoction is you go, oh, right. And Bucky's the Rick Flag. He's the boring square that has to go with them all and like keep it together. And
that's what I thought.
Not at all.
No. Well, he shows up. He's actually trying to basically catch all of them and be like, yeah, I'm taking you in because you're all villains, basically.
Well, he's trying to flip Mel too, because he's like, hey, do the right thing, and if I capture them, then I have evidence to impeach Val. That's kind of his angle.
But his entrance to this, I mean, he's in it before this, but his entrance is very funny when he shows up on the motorcycle, and Red Guardian's like, yeah, the Winter Soldier.
He's so cool.
Because I love that guy.
They're running away from this compound, being chased by these military vehicles in Red Guardian's limo, and they're basically about to get killed, blown up by these military vehicles. And Bucky shows up on his motorcycle like a badass,
armed and dangerous.
Very T2 coded.
Yeah. I was like, man, he's freaking Arnold out here showing up
doing
with his
endos
sunglasses.
and shit. Yeah.
That was too much.
No, that's cool.
Okay.
I think he's like,
going on here?
I might be a sitting U.S. senator now, but I gotta show that I can still do cool Winter
I can
Soldier
hang.
stuff. Yeah.
Exactly.
I just got done washing my arm in the dishwasher.
That's right, and dropping
Yeah, what is
meatballs
this?
on his dossier.
Yeah.
So that's great when he saves them, but we forgot to mention when they're getting out of the compound, they're sneaking out with Bob, they're wearing the soldier uniforms. He's still like, I want to help. They're like, shut up, Bob, you're stupid. Ghost
Yes.
gets
I
him
Yeah.
a
don't like being
vehicle.
carried anymore, he says. Yeah.
Right.
Yes. And so they're
I
getting
can help.
interrogated. And when the jig is up, he says, I got this. And
He
he hops out of the vehicle to cause a
Yeah, he
distraction.
sacrifices himself basically to cause a diversion so they can get away. Or he thinks he's sacrificing himself. Of course, he ends up being immune to bullets because
Oh.
he's a superhuman.
Yeah, this is a big
Yeah.
reveal. Yeah.
Just a little before that. Sorry that we keep backtracking. There's a lot of very good small moments in this movie.
Yeah.
After the touch scene, Florence Pugh wants to talk to him. They've already figured out the elevator stuff, and she's like, so like, once we get out there, it's not smart to pick a fight with a super soldier. You can do that once we get out there, but right now we've got to work together and we got to be on the same side. And he just goes, yeah, I think I'm going to stay here. She's like, you'll die if you stay here. And he smiles and he looks down really nervous and looks back up at her and says, well, I just really think that'd be the best for everybody. Meaning dying, not staying here. He is so suicidal this whole early part. And she says, well, no, that you can't do that. And this is where they have the heart to heart. And he says, don't you feel like empty inside? And she
You have
takes
to
a
push
big
all
gulp.
that down, you know?
Yeah, and he says,
it
like, there's a
down,
void
Z.
in you, and she hates that word. And then Jacob, the best joke in the movie is, what do? You just push it down. You just gotta push that down and not think about that stuff.
And that's why
this is a very I know we keep saying it's about mental health, but this is a very healthy movie. Like it's having conversations with language of tactics that people use where they're like legitimately like, don't do that. Do healthy choices instead.
Yeah. This is a movie where they essentially stop the villain by, talking through his mental health issues, which we'll get to. But yeah, their first interaction is essentially them bonding over their mutual depression.
We need to die. Don't you think so, Elena? And she's like, ugh.
She's like, no, you just push it down and carry on. It'll be all right, Bob. Come with us.
Just drink yourself to sleep every night. That's what I do. It seems to work pretty well. No, so so the reveal is he sacrifices himself as a diversion. The soldiers all shoot him up like crazy. And then it turns out all the bullets, didn't damage him at all. He's got a bunch of holes in his hospital outfit, and then he flies up in the air like Superman. And then he comes back down, causes a big impact or whatever.
Essentially incapacitated, and Val goes to recover him.
Yes.
As our heroes.
So essentially, we have a Homelander in the void. Yeah.
And this is where they lose their vehicle, and then while they're waiting outside, Red Guardian
shows up
where they are
in his limo.
It's like I'm laughing for this stuff where truly I'm like, this is a very funny moment. But also in the back of my mind, I'm like, why is Yelena acting like she's like 14 years old? That she's out loud
my
like,
dad, so embarrassing.
Oh, I hope he doesn't see me.
Right. That's the bit, I guess.
Very silly. Yeah.
It's very silly. But yeah, I hope he doesn't see us then.
But
Winter Soldier saves everybody, and they're like, oh, thanks for saving us, Winter Soldier, and then he shoots their car. And they're like, oh, fuck.
They keep screaming at him, you need to...
Winter Soldier!
You need to check out Bob. It's Bob's fault. Yeah, Bob. It's this great... The whole crowd saying it, and then he gets the call from Mel, and she says, you need to check on Bob. And he goes, Bob, and turns, and literally the whole crowd goes, Bob!
And they're talking to themselves a little bit, and he says Bob, and they all look like he knows now. Yeah, it's a great beat.
Right.
I like the different levels of restraints he has on people. Like he has to have rebar and shit around Guardian and ropes around some of the regular people.
Got the special handcuffs for Ghost, so she can't phase
the
through
anti-phasing. Yeah, that's really cool too.
Yeah,
but essentially, he's this whole time he's trying to get Mel, the assistant to Valentina, to flip on her and kind of sell her out because she's doing bad stuff. So that's what this Mel character, that's kind of her purpose, is to be like, oh, maybe I'm gonna flip on her, maybe not.
I don't love all this again, but
yeah. But there's Trouble in Paradise, she calls Bucky again from the headquarters, like, "Yo, Bob's here. It's pretty
like, oh,
gnarly." And then he
you gotta
reluctantly
get
is
here.
like, "Well, I guess I'm working with you
in.
assholes."
All right, I'm bringing all these losers and rejects with me. And we're a team, the Thunderbolts.
What does that mean? It's about a girl who pooed.
That's right.
That's what Ghost says. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
So then we get to they're in the desert. They travel to New York City to the Avengers Tower, now called the Watchtower, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Very
which
DC
is where we
coded.
Yeah, actually, yes, that's pretty much stolen from DC. But so we get the big third act set piece all happens at Avengers Tower, which is sort of like run down now. And they mention like, oh man, all the crazy fights and stuff that happened here. Now, what was the point of setting it here other than to be like, remember the Avengers, remember these other movies?
I may have an answer.
Yeah.
In my light research, because I didn't know anything about Sentry before this movie really, but I guess it turns out that he's always existed in the MCU. It got to a point where he deleted everybody's memory of him existing because it was for the betterment. But it turned out that his tower was always where Avengers Towers stood in the past. So reclaiming the Watchtower for Sentry is like a comic book thing. Like his tower's always been there. So they're renovating it. Yeah.
Basically
so it's not the sellout thing.
Yeah, the U.S. government or Valentina bought it from the estate of Tony Stark, I guess, and are refurbishing it, rebuilding it to be the base of the new Avengers.
And to be fair, the Avengers did move to that campus where they got tacos on site,
which is the dumbest idea on the planet. Right. Yes, they do have tacos on site, Mike. The in-universe explanation is exactly what she says. It's good optics. This buys me goodwill. Human beings are dumb. We basically rally behind one thing that's like, the Avengers saved us. That's where the Avengers live. So good guys probably live there if they do the stuff.
By the way, speaking of tacos and stuff, where is Dr. Bruce Banner, a.k.a. the Hulk? Like, what's he up to right now?
He has a son now.
Yeah, he's
raising his
cousin.
Boy.
Yeah.
Scar.
He banged his cousin and he has a son now. Isn't that right?
He has a cousin who will never show up again, probably.
Never.
Tatiana Maslany, but
no. Not till Thunderbolts 4, where we've got a couple more contracts to run out, and we're like, sorry, Tatiana, we've got you.
They're not calling it Thunderbolts 1, 2, 3, and 4. It'll just have another 2 asterisks, 3 asterisks, 4 asterisks.
Well, that brings me up. You're mentioning the Sentry from the comics and stuff, and I think it's important to mention. Obviously, the MCU has always been loosely adapted from different comic sources and things.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Thunderbolts comics or the Thunderbolts team in the comics is totally different than this team.
Yeah.
It's never. See, I've never. Yeah, and I've showed you guys my Thunderbolts comics in the past, which are based on the fact that it's run by General Thunderbolt Ross. He's name dropped in this movie.
Right.
Nobody stops to be like, hey, that's kind of weird that his name is that thing we're calling ourselves. That's
obviously they make up a new
a
new origin for the name, which is that it's Yelena's childhood soccer team.
Yes.
But even the members, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but are like totally different. Like none of these people were in the Thunderbolts.
Because here's the
more
thing.
Or less.
Here's the history of the Thunderbolts: is they're not the Suicide Squad. It is not villains that are put together to like do this stuff. It's killers. It's literally that it's the people who can cross the line and kill people. So most of the time, shadowy government organizations or Nick Fury's like, by the way, I need you guys on the side doing certain things. That's the Thunderbolts.
Right. Something that Captain America wouldn't want to dirty his hands with.
Yeah.
Well, we can't call ourselves that anyway. Asterisk. So.
No.
Yeah.
And the guy who made them all, Baron Zemo, who was the villain of Falcon the Winter Soldier, I guess, really the villain of just Civil War, again, has nothing to do with any of this. All these characters you would imagine they could have used, but instead really just went this super soldier route.
I miss Baron Zemo. He was fun.
But again, I mean, the MCU is very different than comic storylines where, Winter Soldier is completely different. All these different characters so they're different, but they take inspiration from the comics, and even Sentry, the character of Sentry is different than comic century.
Very. When he turns to the void, he gets blue skin and white eyes. I am very happy that they didn't do any of that garbage.
No, the void, the look of the void in this movie, I thought was awesome, and I was like hyped about it. And,
super unique, very cool aesthetic. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about it. So again, he goes from he's sort of captured by Valentina, brought to the watchtower, and basically he wakes up in this nice room, and Valentina's like, You're my special boy. I'm
She's
gonna
Elizabeth
make you
shooing him. She's like, who's my Homelander? Who's my little special
Why
Homelander?
it looks like a
No,
mom,
Captain
she literally
Breastmilk.
says. Yeah.
Yeah. Do I look maternal?
Right. And basically she makes him into the Sentry. He's got this golden outfit. She dyes his hair blonde. Now, what do you think of this middle look, the Sentry, where he's this golden god?
Love this. I love what the costume looks like. I love the slick back blonde hair. I love that he's constantly talking about how he doesn't like that they.
I don't know about the hair. Like, what do you think? Like,
she's like, you brought it up a couple times.
Bring up the hair a lot. Yeah.
It's like he's giving notes because he's walking. He's going, but it's not about the hair. It's about the fact that you didn't give me a choice. He's like, so you see, it's actually about this. And the look on her face is like, if you don't fucking shut up.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, his whole arc, he does have like the Homelander arc of like, wait, why am I listening to this lady when I have the powers of a god? Like, I shouldn't have to listen to anybody. Like, she's like, well, you're throwing around God pretty loosely. He's like, well, technically, you said I'm more powerful than any of the Avengers, and the Avengers did have at least one god on the team. So technically, I am a god.
Yeah.
Then she's like, oh shit, maybe I can't control this guy. Like, I
blow
thought
your brains up real quick.
They do have the kill switch installed, but before I do like the reveal of him and everything, but I like leading up to this. Like they have their little they have the character moments in the van. Like, so what's with the helmet, the hat? Do you like the hat? You know, like this is my gun. It's big. It's impressive.
This is my long gun. The girls are like, wow, yeah,
really
it's
cool.
Like, yeah, it's pretty good.
I have these
again why Wyatt is the secret.
Oh yeah, I remember.
What? I mean, you like the helmet, right?
It's cool. Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, and then the cab.
Says I like it if you like it. Is what
that's right.
You like it, yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
I like it if you like it.
Then great.
The helmet, the hat. She calls it the hat, and he's like, yeah, it's a helmet.
The helmet.
Yeah,
pretty cool. Yeah, I love that.
In the cab, we're talking about
conversation.
super soldier serums.
I liked earlier.
We're the same. We're different, but we're same. Yeah.
I liked earlier when Ghost is like, I can only do it for a minute, and they're all like, what?
They want to get stuck in a wall, which is good to know. But I love this bit where they crash into the Avengers Tower. They're fighting all these guys, and then she's just like, guys, I left the door open. Like, I knew you were coming.
Right.
Stop this.
But then why did all those soldiers try to shoot
a guy right afterwards?
That was self-defense.
Because he came through the wall. Yeah, you start firing immediately.
Right. So it's basically a trap that she lured them here.
Yeah.
They come up and she's like, hey, meet the Sentry. Now he's going to kill all of you. It's going to be great.
I have called the media, and I'm going to frame it as you supervillains are getting put down by the new
rogue agents. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You've all gone rogue. Sentry is going to kill all of you because he's the golden boy hero.
Mm-hmm. And this fight scene, there's a long sequence. It's like a oneer where it's just focused on Sentry and everybody going in and out and him kind of taking care of him.
The best
it's
part
really well done.
It's really good.
I love it.
Yeah, and I guess he's just so easily sort of manipulated at this point because he's such a vulnerable person, and so he's like, I guess I'm going to kill these people because Valentina's telling me to.
Bobby, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
It's actually the Sentry, sir. You'll be calling.
Yeah.
Right. And then he bent my shield like a taco.
Yes. So they are getting handled. Yeah, Bucky loses his arm. He almost throws Alexi out the window, but pulls him back in. I thought he was cooked at that point, but he does ask Valentina, why do I have to kill them? They're not a threat to me. Why would I kill them?
Yeah.
I think
and again, we see the full reach of his powers here. We see, I don't know the power scaling of the MCU, but like he seems like he's pretty strong. Like he can really do anything.
Yeah.
He
can move things with his mind. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wonder, like, could Captain Marvel 1v1 this guy? Do you think?
I think if he had a little, maybe in this moment, because he's not fully practiced, but give him a year, I think he could probably destroy them.
She got her powers from like the Tesseract exploding with like a super engine. He's just hopped up on super meth. I'm pretty sure
Right.
she would
That's
win.
how you get Cloak
right?
and Dagger. It's a super
But it
meth.
seems like he's
Super
stronger
meth is
than
dangerous, Spike.
It is.
he's got super meth, but he's stronger than your Captain America, your super soldiers. Like
Oh
he can
yeah,
do more
he's
than
stronger than Thor.
Stronger than
Yeah.
Bucky.
he's invulnerable. Yeah, he can fly. He can move things with his mind, so he can really do anything. He's like Superman.
He superheated some bullets and melted them at a certain point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
He's doing a little Matrix
superheats
action.
Bucky's arm. Even he like
Yeah.
superheats it and breaks it off.
It's not a total Superman. Like he's not using heat vision, right?
But he can
Well, he can just
adjust
touch
the
stuff and heat it
molecule
up,
speed
yeah.
to make them hot. It's not a heat vision, but he
Yeah.
can increase. Yeah, he's boil your blood. You'd think if he wanted to eventually.
And the
So
couple
they all
of
have
shots
this,
of him with super speed look really cool too.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and again, there's not a lot of cuts in this sequence. There's one really long take
No.
that's very cool.
Right. So they have this fight sequence where they basically get their asses handed to them and they're like, "Oh shit, we are not equipped to fight this guy. Let's all retreat." And
They
then
get in
so
the elevator,
Valentina's
get the
like,
fuck out of here.
"Well, I'm glad you got to see that before I kill all of you."
Mhm.
They go down to the street level, and that's kind of where they have the breakup scene where they're all kind of like, "Well, we failed as a team. Let's all go do our own thing." And this is where we get
Ghost
this
just
nice
disappears. She's like,
Nobody
Yeah.
can stop this guy. Yeah, this fucking
every
guy.
man for himself. But this is when we get this bonding moment with Alexei and Yelena, where he's being a dad and he's got to give her like a kind of a pep talk, right?
Yeah, and this is one of the best scenes. I don't know if you remember the lines, but it's something along to the effect of, you said you wanted to be goalie because you wanted to be the one that everybody could depend on when everything
Right.
went wrong, And it's like
I like
this
that.
dad
Well, all the
speech.
stuff about when you came into rooms, even as a little girl, you brought the light. I could see the light in you. In the first scene, when they're in his house, he says, "I just don't see a light in you anymore." Her constantly talking about the void and the darkness.
Yeah.
There is this whole mental health aspect of like the people recognizing that you are floundering. Like he is, despite their strained relationship, he is someone who has known her probably longer than anyone else who is still alive at this point, and that is an important thing. This film's saying to have those check-ins with the people who can say, "Hey, you're not acting like yourself," and that scares me.
Yeah. And like he's
Yeah.
like, we kept that picture. You didn't win any games, but you know what? You were happy. You were having fun. And I was never prouder of you than losing all those games because you were happy.
Yeah.
It's like, man, it's a really good scene.
And
Done
yeah,
through
and
bad
this is the
accents.
thing is like obviously Yelena introduced as Black Widow's sister, Natasha.
Mhm.
But I would say as a character, she has had more development
Oh,
just from this one movie than Natasha had in her whole run with the MCU.
name one thing other than the sun's going down, big guy, that was
That's all
like
I had.
ever
Yeah.
like a character thing for Black Widow.
That's the thing that's unfortunate because I mean Scarlett Johansson, she's a good actress, but they just never gave Black Widow that much to do other than she's the Hulk's love interest now, or now she's gonna sacrifice herself in Avengers to save the world or whatever. And she has a relationship with Hawkeye. I guess they had sort of a coworker relationship. But really, she doesn't get the emotional development that Yelena gets in this one movie.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I guess the parallel that's interesting too is like Natasha did basically sacrifice her life. It was quote for the greater good, but she was like, I'm over it, Clint. You gotta live. I'm over it. And she sacrifices herself, which is kind of where we find Yelena at the beginning. It's like, is it worth it?
Yeah.
So there's something there,
Yeah.
I guess. But not as deeply explored as obviously we're getting with Yelena's story here. So this is the speech.
One of my
Right.
favorite lines is her opening scene when she's trying to open the door and she says, "Now that's a face for a camera door." And the guy
Yeah.
shoots himself in the face. She goes, "No, your face."
yeah.
Right.
That's you guys are always so bad at aiming. Yeah.
Collateral
Yeah.
damage.
Yeah.
She's basically just over the covert ops life. Like she doesn't want to do this anymore. She's even
Anything
like
more front facing.
I want a more front facing role Valentina's like, yeah, sure, just do this one last job for me, and we'll definitely hook you
we'll
up.
make
with
you
that.
the Black Widow. You got it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Click.
So while this is happening, they're all on the street, kind of
dejected.
Their group is falling apart. They're going their own ways. Meanwhile, Sentry is having this confrontation with Valentina in the tower, where he's like, "Wait a minute, why do I have to listen to you? Like, you're just some lady. I'm a freaking god. I'm a golden god over here." And meanwhile, yeah, she does have. They created a kill switch in case this happened, which would be nice if Homelander they had something like that for him. But basically, I guess she can just press this button and like his brain explodes inside of his head. So she's got the kill switch. Of course, he kind of pins her. She's like choking her, and then Mel comes in and hits the kill switch and basically kills him. And then they leave. And they're like, all right, whatever. Dispose of the body. Send some people up.
Clean up crew.
Yeah.
Get in here. We're not going to watch this high value asset be extracted. We're just going to leave it to the B-sides.
And then as they leave, you see the body slowly become covered in darkness and voidness, if you will.
And this is the look of the Void. Like Jacob said, it is full silhouette, tiny beady eyes. And his new power is he can extend his hand out and turn you into your shadow. And Jake Schreier, the director of this film, Frank and the Robot, some other indie stuff, said he was mainly inspired by Hiroshima. That he was looking at like
I read this as well.
Disasters and stuff. I thought, boy, that's incredible.
The silhouettes of people's bodies on the ground from Hiroshima when they're vaporized,
essentially vaporized,
and it just leaves a dark silhouette of their body. And that's what he drew visual inspiration with for when he voids people in this movie.
Yeah,
which you think at first is killing them, but in the trailer I was like, oh, he's killing all these people, but really he's just sending them to the void.
Right, it's setting them to banishing them to the shadow realm. But in the trailer, I'm like, oh, this is like War of the Worlds kind of disintegration. But like, it's really affecting the way the effect is. Like the sound effect, it's this like swell to nothingness. It just drops to silence when he does it. It's really
drop
wild.
To silence, Mike. When the Marvel Studios that always opens with the flashes of the comic books gets the drip of the darkness and turns into the void, and that's the first shot, and the sound
that was dope.
out. I was already like, we're in for something here. This is
going to be
a special. Yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
And for like what is essentially smaller stakes type of movie, yeah, when the void starts wilding out in New York and like boom, 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 like dusting people essentially, banishing them.
Yeah.
It's like spooky as hell.
Get me the Daredevil.
Yeah. Punch this man.
Oh, he's too busy. He's in court defending someone as a lawyer.
But then some shenanigans, I can't remember what, but there's debris falling too amongst all this, and so now we're here trying to help out.
The debris falling, that's when they come together as a team and do hero stuff. And they're like, wait a minute, we can be heroes.
It's a move that Joss Whedon obviously perfected. Damn him to hell, the man himself. Of we need a moment where the heroes save normal people, and obviously that was the main reshoots of Justice League, or them like saving this random Russian family that makes no sense. Like that is obviously the nadir of his skills there. It's something Marvel has moved away from. We haven't seen our heroes be heroic in such a long time, and the stakes of Red Guardian lifting up a thing to shield people, getting a thumbs up from a little girl, like picking her up,
saving a little girl and being like,
I saved you
now,
and then for her to be taken away is such a strong moment.
That was a great scene where people were like, people like gasped in the theater
because you don't know if they're alive or not.
Saves this little girl. It's the traditional moment of like, I saved you, little girl, and then she's silhouetted, sent to the void. And then they have this big moment. They symbolically are all lifting this one piece of rubble that is just so heavy they need like 3 superhuman people plus some other people to push it. But that's them symbolically coming together and being the Thunderbolts, right?
Yeah. And then after, it was great. But then we have one of us separated, staring directly into the void. Yelena now kind of wanders off after that and makes a choice to willingly enter the void.
She goes inside, and here's the strength of this. It gets a little repetitive with the montage, that it's literally like, okay, you're seeing that one thing we saw before. Oh no, it's moving to this one where she's getting whipped. That sucks too. The strength being that it doesn't just stay with her as a kid, that the third level of Inception is seeing what she commented on before. No, just be like me. Go home, get drunk, think about killing yourself, and your life's bad. Walks through that door, sees the passed out Florence Pugh on the ground with all the bottles, and has a moment of self-disgust. And when it comes to life and attacks
fights
her,
with yourself.
and
Yeah.
she's stuck in this like horrific, like, like circle of hell repetition of like, oh, this is my life, my existence is, I'm just going to be stuck in this perpetually. She again looks like, well, why did I ever even fucking do this? Like, I'm so disappointed in myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
when she's drinking a lot, she's Florence Puke.
Hey.
Because she drank too much.
There you
go. No, but yeah, you're right. And I thought, like you said, it would have been cool to see like other flashbacks from like Bucky and Ghost. It's like we don't really learn anything about Ghost's like childhood or anything like that. Like, where's her traumatic scene?
Well, her entire body was trying to vibrate apart her whole life, so she had to live in a Fresnel chamber. That probably sucks.
I've had this second skin, she says, since I was a baby. Like, that'd be very interesting. Instead, we get to one of Bob's, and the scene with Valentina earlier, she had said, I know everything about you. I know about the drugs. I know about your issues in Asia. I know about what your dad did to you. And he goes, hey. I didn't say you could know that. And he gets very upset. Yeah. And when we have this nice moment of Bob and Yelena reunited together up in this attic, and she finally stops and goes, hey, by the way, where are we? What is this? And
he's like, yeah, this is the nicest room that I could find, basically. Because every other room sucks even
This
worse.
is one without, me being tortured every second. And we realize that's because he's watching himself get tortured every second. He's sitting above a horrible moment where he, as a child, is protecting his mother from his abusive father, who then takes down on him. Yeah, I mean, this is
crazy.
It's cut above for some Marvel movies in the subject matter area of what they are willing to touch with. And it gives me a lot of hope that we're trending towards a much more serious world here.
They do buy themselves,
well, I think,
a little bit of leeway with like shooting through the floorboard. Like, we're hearing what's going on. There's a lot of implying it, but it's getting the theme across.
There's a lot of implying. Yes. Yeah.
I think this is the serious Marvel movie. So they can be like, look, we did a serious one. So these other, I don't know if it's going to be a trend for all MCU movies going forward, or it's just this one-off where like, yeah, we made like a serious one about mental health and stuff. I mean, I hope they, keep going.
Yeah, Deadpool doesn't fart in this one. Like, that's good to know.
Well, one thing I noticed is like there are, of course there is humor and there is banter within this movie, but what it doesn't have, which a lot of MCU movies have, where it's like every serious moment is undercut with a joke.
Did that just happen?
The Joss Whedon dialogue, if you will, of it all, where that's, some people don't like that, like in the Avengers and stuff, where it's like, yeah, it's really serious things are going on, but we have to have like some kind of banter or joke to undercut it. This movie doesn't do that, in that there are serious moments and they don't always undercut it with a joke, which I definitely like that.
Taika Waititi has gotten horrible about that. James Gunn, pretty bad, but usually lets his more
James Gunn
moments play.
Yeah. Again, with like Guardians Volume 3, like that's very similar to this movie in that it's dealing with these really serious issues and
trauma.
It doesn't have jokes at all times.
No.
So and even like The Suicide Squad, another movie that's similar to this movie.
They don't make a joke after Rick Flag and Peacemaker go at it.
No.
Yeah.
Not at all.
They let that sit. Yeah. Yes. And this scene where we learn about kind of what was happening to Bob, we understand why he doesn't like U.S. Agent, why he doesn't like Walker, because Walker's been calling him Bobby the whole time, and that's what his dad calls him. Oh, you're big and tough now, Bobby. You're gonna fight back, Bobby.
I didn't notice that. That's good.
So that's like a trigger for him, and I'm like, that's good writing.
And that's even when he was like, when he's like, call me the Sentry. Don't call me, because he's like, oh, Bobby, you don't want to do this. Yeah.
Exactly.
So-
Yeah, he's hated that from the beginning. But once he's strong enough to say, "Don't call me Bobby anymore, John," it's like okay, so that's baked into the script, and I like that little.
I don't think Walter likes me. His name is Walker.
Yeah.
That guy's an asshole.
Because you're an asshole and you're supposed to be Captain America. I like that line.
Why are you
Yeah.
laughing? Because you're an asshole. That's great.
So eventually
Everybody
they all follow.
just comes.
her
Literally,
into the
Bucky just
void.
bursts through the door, and they go, "How did
Yeah.
you get here?" And he goes,
Well, we saw some bad shit. Yeah,
I do
but we're
like
here
when
now.
we have.
"You."
Well, I was just gonna say Yelena running, trying to escape her first memory, and we realize there's like walls here. There's like set walls. These are
Yes.
compartmentalized memories. Like it's not infinite.
It's a
so you can
series
break
of
through.
rooms.
Yeah.
That hold
You know
different
what-
memories.
Really sucked is when she's sucked into this and it cuts back to them all in the real world, and Ghost goes, "Wow, I can't believe she's killed herself," and Walker goes, "Yeah, but I'm thinking, guys, what if she didn't?" I kind of had a weird feeling when Bob touched me once, and it's kind of like implied that he's the reason they're all like, "Okay, let's go into the darkness." Walker's right, but it's like not enough of a moment. You know what
Well,
I mean?
think because because he experienced that moment earlier in the
Yes,
movie.
but that would make you go, "Let's jump into the black hole, Jacob."
Yeah.
Okay.
If she did,
It's
well,
a
they say like
stretch.
if she did that, she must have had a reason.
That's true.
And I think there's a parallel of when she steps into the void, and with the beginning of the movie where
when she
we're
died.
introduced to her, where she's on
Yeah.
top of this building, and she's diving off the top of the building. But at first, it looks like she's almost just going to kill herself and jump off the building. But then it's like, oh, she had a parachute because she's doing
don't reveal
Black
that.
Ops stuff. Yeah.
There's
Oh,
one.
yeah.
A lot of characters are one step away in this movie, and that's a constant recurring motif.
And then the fight scene in that building too. It's the top down through the hallway. She's moving from the light towards the dark in the very beginning of this movie. She's moving
I love
from light to
that.
dark in that fight scene too. So
I love that, Mike. So
approaching
the rest of
Bob
the
and
squad
Walter.
comes and breaks her out of this thing, and then they move to another Bob memory, which is the methed out chicken, which was also a very
Oh
good
yeah, the
moment.
methed out
And
chicken.
this is where he screams out, "You have to understand, I was on meth."
Yeah.
He's a
And then we
side-spinning
move
chicken.
to
and then we move out.
I was a
The,
side-spinning chicken.
we move to the scene where he's first doing the trial.
It's the
in
lab that
Kuala
Yelena
Lumpur.
blows up.
Yeah.
in
It's
the
the
beginning,
office
right?
she blew up, in the beginning with the guinea
Yes.
pig. I thought the guinea pig was going to be revealed to have superpowers. I'll be honest with you guys.
Like those cats that scarred Nick
Yeah.
Fury's face canonically.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that. She saved the guinea pig. That was her save the cat moment to show she's still
Well,
a
she
good
saves
person.
she saves Bob. She saves the guinea pig.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The metaphor. Great stuff. I love it. Good catch.
They have a big confrontation with the Void, who's the darkness inside of Bob, and Bob has to fight himself and they have this big confrontation.
Things are whipping around the room. They're getting pinned to the walls. It's like a
Yeah, they get
Nightmare
And
on Elm
he
Street
keeps
situation.
screaming out, "I can do this," to prove to them that by punching and defeating himself, he will get out. And that's when Yelena realizes that's not how you do it. Alexei gives her a little bit of freedom. She gets out underneath this purchase, has an awesome running scene where she's flipping over stuff, diving under stuff, keeps moving, runs up to him, the big hug.
Yeah. Because we
Yeah,
see as
so
he's
essentially-
punching himself, the void is consuming him more. Like violence does not solve it. The cycle
What
of
he
violence
wants.
stops. Yes, don't give it what he wants. This
Right.
big hug. I'm here for you, or something like that.
And I
Yeah.
understand
They all
this
say it.
because I also think that if Florence Pugh hugged me, it would cure my depression.
I'd be
So,
better.
I think so. Yeah. I
I'd be
agree.
fixed.
Yeah,
I'm not sick anymore.
I'm not sick anymore,
I'm
Pugh.
not sick
Where's
anymore.
where's Sentry?
That's right. We need to get a Kickstarter going to get a hug from Florence Pugh.
Yes, I
said
think it
will.
really would cure my depression. So Florence, if you're listening,
Give me a big hug.
Reach out.
please hit me up. Yeah.
But then that inspires the rest of the team. Now we get the power of friendship and anime. Everybody's getting their constraints off, and everybody comes in for a big hug. You get Bucky, you get Alexei, you get Walker, you get Ghost. Everybody comes in, brings it in.
Right.
And
So this is why I
it's
say
kinda-
like
it's
the
really emotional.
villain of the movie is a physical manifestation of depression, and they conquer it by hugging it out and being like, you know what, it's all
You're not
right.
alone.
But
Yeah,
together.
You're not alone. And that's what he keeps saying. Like, you'll always be alone. Like, you're not worth anything and all this stuff. So
I will remind you guys of a film you two don't like called Wonder Woman 84, which ends with a huge thing shooting up into the air and her saying, "No, you can't overcome hate. You must do it with love." And that is what she rushes to do to Pedro, is not defeat him, but, give him a big embrace and hug.
Sure.
Does not work for a moment in that movie.
No.
The execution, the look of it, the performances, because a Nazi is unfortunately the person who's, giving your lead performance. This is a film where it is so baked into the DNA of every moment on it that what a great climax to not have it be a big shooting laser in the sky or trying to close a portal or a big fist fight or something. I thought this was a tremendous idea.
I like
Pedro's also doing like a weird like Trump imitation of in that movie as well, which is like, I don't know.
Maybe he's had
a
one
bad
miss.
movie.
Yeah.
Take me back.
But then, Elena even tells him, you remember that thing we talked about in the bunker? You can't.
It's not right.
Stuff it
I
down.
was wrong.
I was wrong.
You cannot.
Yeah.
You have to
really,
let it
really
out,
good.
she says.
And so, I think it's a really interesting way to do like the big third act of being like, we're just going to talk about our feelings, and that's how we're going to defeat this villain. Again, I do think it is the A24 marketing was accurate because, again, the A24 horror movie, which is popularized, it's almost become a meme now where it's like the real horror was trauma the whole time. There's been a million horror movies like that now.
Greatest example is the Babadook, of course. Yeah,
the Babadook. There's so many, and
all of them. But it seemed like the one to really kick it off and codify it. Yeah,
right. And it's almost like now it's become overdone, where it's like I'm watching a cool new horror movie, and then I'm just waiting for the reveal that trauma is the real villain.
It's like Michael Myers just used to be Michael Myers. He wasn't like the manifestation of the guilt Laurie has over, and you're like, I know.
No, he's just a crazy guy who drove into town. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's almost become overdone now. So that's, again, it's new for an MCU movie, so I don't mind it too much. I thought I like the feeling behind it. I thought the execution at times, I like the third act, but I
like the idea of it.
Yeah. At times it felt a little clunky to me, but overall I did like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the third act.
Yeah.
Cool way to end it. Like the middle part can be a little clunky because the whole movie was going to be, I guess, bunker escape room until they decided it wasn't going to be.
That would have been that would have been interesting.
I would like to see that too.
I don't know.
But we wouldn't get the void in New York and all this stuff.
We were going for a Die Hard thing. That's what the Schreier said. He's like, but that was before me. He's like, I don't know anything about that.
Right.
Again, I feel like some of the clunkiness, it's like some of this typical MCU meddling where they're like, we need to change a bunch of stuff. We need to rewrite a bunch of stuff, which always seems to make the movies worse to me, where it's like, you can never, like, the rewriting, the reshoots, all this stuff, like same with Captain America Brave New World, where it seemed like they reshot a bunch of stuff. And again, it's a minor thing, but it really bugged me, the Taskmaster part of it, like killing her off and then it not really having any importance or emotional weight to it in a movie that's so much about like
Ghost Later's like, so she was like a friend of yours or something, and Yelena's like,
she
you
had a
could
hard
say
night.
that.
They are literally taking her gear. Like, she would want me to have it.
They're robbing.
Right.
They're robbing
I think
her.
if they could have killed her off in a way that had more of an impact and a more emotional weight. It just felt like it's like you said, she was a bigger part of the story at one point, and then due to rewrites, she wasn't a part of the story, so they just kill her off in the beginning.
Why did we have this character? Yeah, it's like, we don't need this.
So it's like a minor thing, but it really bothered me because I was like, why?
I also saw a quote from Jake Schreier where he's like, well, that moment was important for us to show that the stakes could be that anybody could go at any moment. Which I'm like,
But
that's
no
not
one else
really
dies
the
in the
movie
movie.
you're made. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, that doesn't make any. Again, that seems left over from this Suicide Squad thing.
It would be different if like you said, like if Bucky did die or Red Guardian died or someone, but like no one dies in this movie. Like after Taskmaster, like no one dies. There's no. By the end of it, they're all friends. So
But I also
and
don't
even
think a good
Valentina.
movie has to have anyone die. It's like
No.
it does not seem like
But if you're
that's
setting
what
it up
this
that
movie
way.
was about. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. But
It
they
just felt like sorry, go ahead.
no, they even make a point as soon as we get out of the void space and we've saved Bobby, the first civilian that comes back is that girl. So they let you know, like, she's all right, folks.
Right.
You know,
It's okay.
so nobody
no one
died.
actually died. They were in the
Grim or
void.
dark. Yeah.
And then they
Yeah.
have this
I like-
moment where they like confront Valentina, and she's
Which
like,
I like this.
Yeah, but she's like
Yeah,
tricking them
yeah.
once again because she steps through this
Oh,
thing.
don't
There's like, all
chase
the
me.
press are here.
Don't walk through and just kidding.
And so this is
Here
the
they are,
reveal at the
folks.
end, which is so this is the big spoiler. So skip ahead if you don't want to hear it. But basically, they step through this thing. They're in a press conference where all the press is there, and she's like, "I want to introduce the new Avengers."
Who just
And it's-
defeated the void, just like I asked them to.
Yeah.
This is all my idea.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. So now they are the new Avengers, which actually I was spoiled on before seeing this.
Wow.
So I knew going into it. I didn't know the specifics, but I knew I had seen online that by the end of it, they become the new Avengers. And I was like, well, that doesn't make sense. Why are they the Avengers?
Because Captain America didn't listen to Red Hulk when he get the Avengers back together. So she's like,
Yeah, well,
Avengers.
Here, so in the post-credit scene, they mentioned that a little bit with like, oh yeah, Bucky's like, I talked to Sam, like it didn't go over well. Like, I don't know what's going on.
I think this is the worst scene in the movie.
Okay, Colin, this is very interesting because
wow,
this post-credit scene was directed by the Russo brothers.
Oh, it shows.
And I was like, that makes sense because it immediately looks much worse and has much worse jokes and banter in it.
Everyone's costume is terrible. The
Yeah.
hair for everyone is terrible. The lighting,
It
the
was
coloring.
shot like a sitcom.
You're
Yeah.
right across the board, Jacob.
Immediate downgrade, and it was directed by the Russo brothers on the set of Avengers Doomsday.
Wow.
So, there you go.
Wow. And it's the longest post-credit MCU history to date,
Cool.
from what I
And
understand.
this is all to actually introduce the Fantastic Four.
That's
Yes,
right.
it's teasing
to
the
get their
Fantastic
shit.
Four. So it's showing the new Avengers like a year later. They're in their new Avengers headquarters. And they're talking about various things. They're like, oh, what about this new space issue? And I think like Alexi's like, what do you mean? We got so much space in this.
Walker's like, what are you talking about? This place is huge.
Yeah.
No, outer space.
Outer space. He goes, right.
Right.
Right. And
Bob is
we see
just
Bob
chilling.
there too. He's like,
I
oh,
was
Bob's in
about
the
to
corner.
say, yes.
He's
We
like,
see.
oh, I can't be the sentry without letting, the void out or whatever. So I guess he can't use his powers without letting the void out is what they're
which
saying.
is very interesting. And
Mhm.
one of them says, and I'm talking to all of us, Bob, and Bob's in the corner. He's got a little drink. He's reading a book, and he goes, huh, what? Well, I can't use my powers. But guys, I did do the dishes. And he kind of looks at them like, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
They're
That
not
was
busy
funny. And
themselves.
what did you think of Walker and his little beret? Do you like his little beret that he's wearing?
What Bucky's wearing is horrible. The beret I'm kind of fine with, but the whole energy of it I don't love. And Yelena's hair looks terrible. All the costumes across the board, I'm like, these are garbage.
Yeah, it
Here's
looks
what
bad.
I'm
Like you said, the
thinking.
lighting, the cinematography looks so much worse. Again, it looks like it's a sitcom.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, damn, okay.
The entire run of this movie up to this point, Yelena had incredible hair. Are you kidding me? She
Yeah, I
looked
like her-
Awesome.
And when it's
Short
wet
blonde.
too,
Yeah,
Jesus
it's great.
Christ,
And then it all goes out the
Very
window.
punk rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then maybe Walker's hat is because they said, "Do you like the hat?" It's a helmet.
I was thinking
You
that too.
know,
Is it a
he's like,
callback to when they were
"Should I
talking
get a
about his
hat?"
hat? So he's like, let me get a new hat that's like a
We
beret.
get a beret.
Maybe I should get a hat. Yeah.
It's
A taco shield.
Do we
But I
see
hate the
those?
Bucky
Is she even
costume.
in this scene? The Bucky costume is atrocious.
Yeah.
I do not like it. It looks like cosplay. I can't remember if Ghost is there or not. I'm sure she is. And then they're like, "We're getting a space signal. Maybe call for a scan." I was gonna say that. Call for a scan.
Right. Also, this scene, I should mention, for me was particularly bad because when I was watching in the theaters, sat through the whole credits, as the scene's coming on, the theater brings up the lights, like the bright lights in the theater. So I could barely see it anyway because I'm like, why did they turn the lights on for this post-credits scene?
That's
So
And
that
you're
was
blaming
kind of
the
annoying.
Russo brothers for that.
Yeah.
Directly.
It's so bright, I can't even see this thing, Joe and Anthony.
But I could tell it looked worse than the rest of the movie. Like I said, yeah, their costumes look bad.
Yeah,
They're all wearing like wigs or something. Well, Sebastian Stan
it
in all
has
the
a
press for
shaved
this
head now. Yeah,
is
so
like
he's
bald.
100% wearing a wig, and it looks
Right.
horrible.
So I don't know if that's for a future role that he's doing or something.
I would
but
assume this is what they're going to look like in Doomsday.
yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, and
So
the
we
Fantastic
see,
Four ship, we see it coming through, which people predicted that, yeah, they're going to come from the multiverse and enter our universe, and like, but it kind of
Right. So we know what's going
ruins
to
it.
happen.
You know
Yeah.
exactly what's going to
We know what's going to happen with
Exactly.
Fantastic Four. That world is not, they're not going to save it. Like their world is doomed essentially. I think that's how their movie ends, with them leaving their doomed world or their doomed universe and coming to our universe, right?
And
so
then
it's pretty obvious.
We're trying to restart the Avengers. The Fantastic Four started the Avengers back in the day. Like I'm thinking this group we have here is West Coast Avengers bound, and then we have new Avengers with the Fantastic Four and Sam.
Yeah, I mean the Fantastic Four. It seems like in their world they're the only heroes. Like there is no Avengers. It's just
so they
the
can
Fantastic
come here
Four.
and join Sam Wilson and Thor and stuff and do.
Yeah,
Avengers
but if you've
2.0.
seen their
I don't know
whole,
how any of that's going to go.
Me
I think the
neither.
new Avengers will get some new members too eventually. Like Spider-Man or whoever.
You want them to keep the Z.
I've never heard of
We're
Spider-Man.
Avengers, so we can get rid of get around
Silly
the
Sam
copyright.
Wilson does not understand copyright law.
Yeah. Would you like Alexi's suit that he's wearing in the grocery store?
No, I would not. Let's talk about his last scene. Let's talk about the grocery store, the first post-credit scene.
Yeah. Oh, Wheaties.
I follow
me on the box.
the whole like Dumoy subreddit. You guys know that celebrity gossip thing.
Yeah.
Right? Dumoy, you don't know what that is, Mike.
I don't.
Celebrity gossip. Yeah.
It's literally just
like anonymous, so and
people
so and so are
blind
dating.
items.
Yeah.
Okay.
But also like a microscope to be like, hey, remember, and people will comment to be like, this person, this, and you sort of like get a timeline of like what people are up to. So David Harbour was married to the singer Lily Allen. They have now since broken up. It seems like they've kind of lost their minds. She's selling feet pics on OnlyFans to make money while he's sort of moving on to this movie career or whatever.
Okay.
I saw one of those things that pointed it out and like zoomed in on his head, did all like the circling and stuff about this whole thing about how celebrity men shave their heads for roles so that then it is less suspicious when they go to Turkey to get hair transplants, that it will then just grow in more fuller afterwards. And they'll be like, I've always had this hair. What are you talking about?
Yeah. I'm taking notes for myself.
Both these, I will be doing it as well. Don't worry. Both these post-credit scenes, I think in the weird way that they're shot, he's wearing a hat to cover his head when he's with the new Avengers, and you don't see anything up top. And then when it's the one just with him, hat off, full head of hair that we have never seen David Harbour have. Like, so thick and luscious that you're like, that is not your hair. So that is my theory of why.
Well, as Alexi, he's always been like bald with a huge beard. Yes. And then of course his evolution in Stranger Things of just getting, fatter and fatter and more
buff. Yeah, well, he did the big fat season, then he did the skinny Russian season. Now he's sort of like done the whole vegan. I was Hellboy. I don't know if you guys know. I'm actually very strong and handsome.
Oh yeah, Hellboy.
The Black Widow movie, Jacob, he has crazy long hair with the crazy beard.
Right.
This weird dirty Santa role that he's done now is so clearly evidence of like, I can get away with it. Nobody's going to notice.
Sure.
And I do want to shout out Venom, Tom Hardy, very recently said in an interview, I feel so weird having somebody else's hair. So at least one male celebrity in the world has
Tom Hardy
owned up to the fact that he has hair transplants.
I love Tom Hardy because he's not gonna pretend like he's not getting hair transplants. But as we know, Walton Goggins is bringing back balding and
looking like a maniac, which you and I are very much going to benefit from in our role.
Get him in the Vegeta role.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Baby
but I'm
Billy.
sorry to hear that that Lily Allen and David Harbour broke up, because I watched their Architectural Digest
love that video.
Oh
home
yeah.
tour. You ever watch those house tours of celebrities
Mhm.
videos that they do? And I watched their New York penthouse or whatever, and I was like, oh, they seem like a real nice, quirky couple. So that's sad that they broke up.
Mhm.
But what can you do?
What can you do? Poor Lexi.
Poor
Thunderbolts.
Alexi.
Poor
But
Alexi.
David Harbour, I mean,
Please?
what kind of career, what kind of roles is he going to be doing going forward? Do you think, Stranger Things ending?
It,
Uh,
it's one of those things where you really have to deal with the fact that you got famous later in life. He is going to struggle with that for the rest of his, why wasn't I a bigger box office star? Can't I
right.
keep trying to do this stuff now where it's like, buddy, you
He is
kind
one
of
of
have
those
to be the elder statesman.
like
He did
Pedro
do that
Pascal,
Santa
where
movie.
he was a working actor for a long time, but only broke out in his middle age. Pedro Pascal, of course, a very handsome older man, so he can still. I mean, this guy is in everything. Can we talk about that for a second? How Pedro Pascal is just everywhere now, but
Mhm.
he's definitely getting older, so he'll sort of translate to older roles. Of course, he did, Last of Us, where he had gray hair and stuff. And what do we think about Fantastic Four? Now, I got the trailer in front of this movie. I'm still kind of iffy on this
I am
Fantastic
too.
Four.
Yeah.
I just feel like something is off about the chemistry with them. I haven't seen, like, I don't know what it is exactly, but it's just like something's not working for me with this core group.
I just don't think I'm gonna believe this whole movie. I don't think I'm gonna want a whole movie of, gee whiz, shucks, mister, can you believe that we're in the Earth 1951? Yeah,
Right.
okay,
Yeah.
cool.
And I don't know what he's doing as Reed Richards. Like, I can't tell like what he's going for. He just
He
seems
seems to have no
very,
take. Yeah.
yeah, he just seems very flat. And that seems like all the characters seem very flat to me. Maybe they're just not showing that much in the trailer, but I just
And
don't
they
get
haven't.
that.
Yeah.
And they've
Yeah, I
never
gotta.
done the Fantastic Four well in a movie yet. So, and they've done several, versions of them. Obviously, some big failures in the past, but I'm hoping that this movie will be good. But we'll see.
I'm hoping it will be, but I have and have always had lower expectations for Fantastic Four than I did Thunderbolts. This was the only thing
Yeah.
I've been excited for in the MCU in a long time, so I'm glad at least it was good. But I don't
No,
know what
kind
to
of
say
like
about
the
the thing
Fantastic.
that sucks is I'm jumping ships because the same week as Fantastic Four
Superman's
is
coming,
Superman.
baby.
Yeah,
That's
it's
going to be
like
the big
this was the
battle.
last Marvel that I'm into. Now I'm going over to DC. It seems
DC
like.
versus
So,
Marvel. It's coming to a head. And obviously, yeah, Superman I'm more excited for than Fantastic Four. I like the aesthetic of Fantastic Four from what I've seen, but again, the characters just seem so flat to me. Maybe they'll be better in the full length movie. Even Cousin, he's like, "Oh, I'm tasting the pasta."
Not
I don't
loving
know.
it. Not loving it.
Yeah,
I love
not
it.
loving it.
Well-
Mike, this film was written by the co-showrunner of The Bear, by the way. Important to put.
Oh,
the
I
film
don't
we're
think you
talking
should be
about
doing
today.
that.
That's why it's all about mental health.
Oh, this
That's
one?
what the Bear's about.
This one was, yeah.
Okay, that's good. I thought you meant it's just going to be about rocks cooking Fantastic Four. Well, let me say this before we get to final thoughts. This film, similar to Sinners, 88% critic score, 94% audience score, like pretty well received. Not as well received as Sinners, but like really high scores from critics and audiences.
Pretty well
Rare for a
received.
Marvel movie.
Now, you have both tracked down Sinners and IMAX at this point, and this film kicked that film out. This was very
But-
much promoted for IMAX.
They did
Neither
announce
of you
that
ran
Sinners
out.
is coming back to IMAX due to popular demand. They're like, we're bringing
Right.
it back. People
So what I
wanted it.
wanted
But neither of you saw this film in IMAX.
No.
But what I
Because
wanted to mention
every
is
big movie they release in IMAX, but I'm not going to see a movie in IMAX unless it's shot specifically for like Oppenheimer and like Sinners were shot specifically to be seen in IMAX.
I need
So
to
those
know
are the-
what camera specs you use.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
don't know the
Use a
answer to
large
that, I'm
format.
not
if you're not
seeing your
using
movie
14,
in-
15
yeah.
perf like Kugler was, I don't know if that can be convinced.
Right. It's like seeing
but-
a movie in 3D unless it was meant for 3D. It's like why bother?
And the person
Yeah.
I went with would not see this in 3D with me. I begged them to. They
Oh,
said
you wanted to see it
no.
in 3D.
Right.
I desperately
No,
wanted.
but this movie had a worse opening weekend than Captain Falcon, the new one, Red Hulk.
Really?
It had a
Oh,
worse opening
really?
weekend than Red
Oh,
Hulk.
that sucks. Really?
Yes.
I'm
So
kinda
I'm
surprised
wondering
by
what that
the-
means.
Well, maybe it'll have good word of mouth, but I think I'm surprised that the Rotten Tomato scores are that high because I feel like it's almost getting overpraised a little bit because it's a good MCU and people are just like, man, it's been so long since I've seen a good MCU that maybe I'm overpraising it a little bit.
Saying online is people are like top 5 since Endgame, where I'm like,
like
kind of
what else has come out since
like,
Endgame?
What do you even
top
say? It's like top
Endgame.
1. It's like, what are you even fucking saying?
Yeah, I can't think of 4 better movies since Endgame, but I mean,
no.
I would say, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I think that one was really good.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's like, what would I put above this since Endgame? I don't think any of them.
Well, let's jump over to final thoughts because we can really build on that a little more here. So let's wrap things up talking about not the Thunderbolts. No. We've been talking about New Avengers. Normies Like Us. All right, we're back here on Normies Like Us, where we're talking the New Avengers. Certainly not the greater Westchester Thunderbolts. Brought to you by
Asterisk
Dave's Auto or whatever.
Yeah.
We know what the asterisk means now.
We do.
And again, they're literally switching the posters, ripping off the old name, revealing New Avengers. Is that
in response to the box office? Because like we need to tell people more about what this is, or
I think that was always the plan to do that because that's always why the asterisk is there. Then you're like, we're going to reveal that they're actually New Avengers. I don't understand why they're only doing it after like it's been out 3 days. So anyone who hasn't seen it is like, ridiculous. I'm getting the end of the movie spoiler. Okay, thank you.
Maybe I'm not interested in that. I'll wait till it's on streaming. Doesn't seem like a good tactical move, marketing wise, to do this 3 days later. Yeah.
Now, here's what I want to do with you guys real quick. We're going to do a lightning round real quick. We're going to talk about all the films in the multiverse saga. Now, that is Phase 4 and Phase 5. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
The last film before that is Avengers Endgame and Spider-Man Far From Home. That closes out Phase 3. So I'm going to list off in order the Phase 4 films, not the TV show.
I'm excited
and
for this.
The Phase 5 films. Just give me a, yes, I've rewatched this, or how many times you think
rewatched it or
I've
watched
these
it?
movies.
Okay.
Well, for Mike, it's going to be, have you watched this? For you, I think
I've seen all of these, sadly.
But tell me if you've rewatched them then.
Yeah, rewatched? Yeah, okay.
Black Widow.
Yeah, I've seen it once.
I've also seen it once. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Seen it once.
I've seen it twice. I caught the end of it on a TV recently in a hotel.
Okay.
Wow.
Maybe that counts.
1.5.
By the way, I want to mention Shang-Chi, the director of Shang-Chi, Destin Daniel Cretton, is directing the new Spider-Man movie coming out next year. So that's interesting. It's not the guy they've been.
John Watts.
John
Watts, who gets a special thanks in this film because Jake Schreier is friends with him, and it seems like he maybe hooked him up and got this job.
But Destin Daniel Cretton, they're like, okay, we're not going to make Shang-Chi 2, but you can make a Spider-Man movie.
Also, Shang-Chi will be in Doomsday, we announced, and it's been 5 years since you've seen him.
Yeah.
Get Aquafina back
also, I want to
there.
mention that
that's another one of those posts.
Our old friend Joe
that goes nowhere. Yeah.
Is doing a full Marvel MCU rewatch.
Oh yeah,
right now. I was looking at his letterbox and stuff. He's from the very beginning, Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, whatever. So we'll see what he says about these phase movies. But go ahead.
Yeah.
Eternals.
Never seen it.
I've seen it.
Mike has never seen it. I've seen it.
Never will.
I liked it more than most people, actually. I think it is one of the better post Endgame movies.
You just wait. Roided up Kumail's coming for you, Mike. He's gonna kick your ass.
Chloe Zhao,
that one?
Oscar-winning director Chloe Zhao.
Who? That means nothing. Spider-Man: No Way Home. That is the 3 Spider-Man movie.
I have seen that. Never rewatched it again. I've only
seen it the one time we all saw it in theaters, Jacob.
Wow.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Wish I hadn't seen it once. I'm sorry, Sam Raimi.
I've seen it one time. Thor: Love and Thunder.
I've seen it once.
I've seen it one time. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
I've seen it once.
I've seen it one
I
time.
haven't rewatched any of these movies. Ryan Coogler.
Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
I've seen it once.
It doesn't even feel like
Mike's
one time.
favorite franchise.
Yes, Mike, you've seen it.
First entry in my favorite franchise.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
I've seen it once.
I've seen it one time. The Marvels.
The Marvels I've seen once.
0 times.
Mike hasn't
Directed by
seen
Nia
it.
DaCosta.
That's not a real. That means nothing to anyone, Jacob.
I'm just reading all the directors of these movies. It's fascinating some of the talent they get, but it's just like, yeah,
It's also fascinating how they disappear. Deadpool and Wolverine.
Seen it once.
My favorite director, Sean Levy.
Captain America: Brave New World.
I've seen it unfortunately once.
Same, regrettably once.
I've seen it once.
Regrettably, yeah.
Jacob will love this. Julius Ona is the director.
Julius
of that. No one has any idea who that person is.
He did. Well, he did a movie called The Cloverfield Paradox, which was really bad.
Right. You did bring that up.
What's that fake director name that they use when they don't want their name on a project?
Alan Smithy. Yeah,
Alan Smithy.
These could all
Alan
say
Smithy.
Alan Smithy. And now we're up to Thunderbolts.
Right.
So
Once.
some of those Mike hadn't seen. The bulk of them we have all only seen one time since Endgame.
I've seen all of them once and only once. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
It is
Ryan
amazing,
Reynolds
folks.
is a credited screenwriter on Deadpool and Wolverine.
I did know that. But here's the thing. I have seen Iron Man 10 times. I have seen the first Thor movie, a movie that's not very good, 4 or 5 times. I have seen the first Captain America movie, a movie I actually really like, a handful of times. I go back to those. Why don't we return to these?
Well, it hasn't been that long since they came out. So which ones would I rewatch out of all these? Probably Spider-Man No Way Home.
Doctor Strange, I guess.
I watched Spider-Man Guardians in this.
Guardians of the Galaxy
if I were to.
Volume 3.
Yeah, Guardians I would watch.
Yeah. But it's like the MCUs that I really rewatch are like the Avengers movies, the Guardians of the Galaxy, and like some other random ones like
Civil War,
Captain America Winter Soldier. I really like that one.
If they have a take, if they're kind of about you'll tune in.
Just looking through the list, like Spider-Man. I like the Spider-Man movies. Sure, I'll rewatch those.
I don't even think I've rewatched
Black Panther,
any of the Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, for me it's mainly Guardians of the Galaxy, the big Avengers movies, and like Thor Ragnarok. I've rewatched that a bunch of times because I like that one. But not too much. My
question off of that is like Superman, Fantastic Four, a week apart or whatever. Lower opening for this than Captain America, Brave New World or whatever. So the Superman Fantastic Four weeks will be very telling of, is this the sign of the decline of all superhero? Where something like Sinners is holding quite strongly still in like the third week? Well, or is it an anomaly? Like that's what we'll find out when those movies release. I think box office wise, those movies are both going to be big hits. Because you have Fantastic Four. We haven't had a Fantastic Four in a long time. Yeah, but this is more like, okay, a bunch of, lesser known characters getting together. So I can see why it wouldn't do like amazingly well. But like you have the name recognition of the Fantastic Four and Superman, 2 characters that we haven't seen like Superman. We haven't seen a Superman movie in a long time since, 2015, maybe with the Henry Cavill Superman. But like, he hasn't really had solo, the DC universe has been a mess. And this needs to be a big hit because James Gunn's DCU needs to succeed, or I will probably enter the void myself. He needs to create momentum out the gate with this movie. A lot is riding on the Superman film to create positive momentum. Yeah. If it's I think it will be a hit, but if it's like a box office flop, then I don't know what that says about the future
it's over.
I think Marvel is chasing ghosts at this point. Pun intended, I guess, with this movie. They're chasing ghosts at best, and DC is hopefully going to be able to create something new. But again, Marvel's got a good slate coming up because I think Fantastic Four is going to do well. Then they have Avengers Doomsday. Before. That's going to go well. Has never done poorly. Right, but this is different because this is MCU, MCU Fantastic Four. And then you have Avengers Doomsday. That's going to be a hit. Like, there's no way an Avengers movie is not going to do well financially. And then you have Spider-Man Brand New Day, and then Avengers Secret Wars. So those are all going to do really well at the box office. I watch The Studio, which we all love. Yes. Again, Mike getting us into it. But I watch that show, and I constantly think about
the struggles that Seth Rogen goes through and how stressed out he seems running a studio. And then I imagine, what if he had to direct and write the flagship movie that they're making as well? Like, imagine what goes
No.
through James Gunn's head at night.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm at the top of the world and I'm doing this and it's all going to turn out okay.
James Gunn
The-
seems
the
like he's
void
on-
swallows him.
Yeah. James Gunn seems like he's been on this untouchable run lately where everything he does is really good.
Yeah.
Is that going to continue with Superman? I hope so,
Probably
because
not.
I've liked what I've seen with Superman. Kevin Feige, on the other hand, I've seen some stuff about him behind the scenes where he's just like pulled in every direction, and a lot of the disjointedness of the MCU is because he's telling, people, he's changing things, all the time, and it's like effects artists don't even know what they're doing until weeks before it has to be done and stuff. So that seems like a big reason why the MCU has just been so all over the place lately.
Yeah.
And yeah, bringing the Russo brothers back for Avengers, it's just like, we ran out of ideas. Like
bringing Robert Downey Jr. back.
Yeah,
You guys
Doctor Doom.
fixed this. It was good when you guys were here, and it's like,
Yeah,
That's what I mean by chasing ghosts. Yeah.
yeah, you're right.
so I don't know, but
Thunderbolts, at least
Fantastic Four, I was just gonna say, Matt Shackman directing that, and that's a guy that he's done some good
Shackman.
stuff.
We liked
The
one.
Shackman, yeah, WandaVision, and he's done good stuff. So I don't know. Anyways,
how much freedom
have
do these
to
directors
see.
get? How much of it is done in the CGI computer studio room versus on the set? What degree of freedom do you have in these kind of movies?
No.
But I'm looking forward to July to see these movies. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how it shakes out. But at least, Thunderbolts was somewhat of a refreshing, different type of movie than we've gotten in these phases. I think besides Guardians and maybe Spider-Man, but I keep those as even a separate thing than regular MCU. It's like one of the only fun ones that we've had in two phases.
Yeah, again, I was so down on Captain America: Brave New World. I was probably the most down on it out of all of us. I just really didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie, it's a lot better. I think I liked most of it. Again, I think I had some problems. It was really the clunkiness of the MCU-ness of it, of I can feel where rewrites are happening and things like that, where it's it doesn't always feel that cohesive to me as a whole, but there's a lot of individual moments that I really liked, and I really like all those characters and their interactions. So overall, I'd say, yeah, it's definitely an above average MCU movie, and I think one of the best since Endgame.
It felt sloppy in a good way. It felt sloppy
Yeah.
in a way that it didn't feel completely controlled and tailored. It's not this sort of Apple product, everything's immaculate and there's no soul behind it. It's dirty, it's messy, doesn't always work, but the stuff that does way outshines the stuff that doesn't.
Especially what the mean of the genre usually is, the average kind of subject matter you deal with. Space laser, oh no. I liked it's a little bit more of a personal story.
Yes.
I have a question here, and it's from my notes. I know, Colin, you play Persona 5, right? Jacob, are you familiar with Persona 5?
Of course.
You go in and change people's hearts, right? But have you played Persona 4, either of you?
I did not, no.
Okay, so the premise of Persona 4 is similar to Persona 5, but you don't go into bad people's hearts and change them. You go into your friends' darkest aspects of their psyche that they hate and that they cannot wrestle with or accept, and you basically have to battle against that and get them to accept the dark side of themselves to become whole. And it's through the power of friendship and supporting them and navigating these emotional traumas. So my Letterboxd review is they did a whole ass Persona 4. And that's kind of how I look at this movie. But Persona 4 is my favorite one because it is very more personal about helping your friends overcome their personal demons. And I like Persona 5, but 4 is my personal favorite because it's very much what this movie is. We're here for you. We got your back.
We're going back to back. We did Lupin and Persona 5 last week. We're doing Thunderbolts and Persona 4 this week. I love it.
Look at us go. It's amazing.
I like that.
So play Persona 4 if you like the subject matter of this movie. It's very much, it's cathartic. It's nice. It's cool. Help your friends. Talk to your friends if you're going through a bad time. Reach out.
Absolutely.
People care about you.
Yeah. 1-800, whatever that Logic song is.
Yeah, but seriously, this movie is very much about that.
Yeah.
You're not alone.
Don't kill yourself.
Yeah.
Never kill yourself.
Please don't.
Please don't.
No, I like that it was. Yeah, I like that it was more dealing with these issues. And yeah, it's a refreshing change of pace for the MCU. By the way, I was looking up. So Eric Pearson, one of the people that was credited as writing the screenplay for this movie, also co-writing Fantastic Four. He's done a lot of MCU because he wrote Black Widow.
I don't think that any of the good stuff is him in this. And I think it's the Lady Bear.
Maybe because if you look at his filmography, there's a lot of uncredited rewrites of MCU movies. Ant-Man, uncredited rewrite. Spider-Man: Homecoming, Thor: Ragnarok, Avengers: Infinity War, and Endgame. So he's worked on like a ton of MCU movies, which is really interesting.
None of those movies stand out in the way that this one does. I like that this one is different.
Yeah.
It feels like assemble the war room, throw whatever ideas you have at the wall, quickly rewrite season.
Whoever came up with this interpretation of Bob, it's the character I care about going forward. So that's great.
Yeah, I'm interested in a new MCU character. You're right.
Yes, I love this.
Yeah, I would compare this movie to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 in that it is like dealing with these serious issues because that movie is kind of all about obviously Rocket, mistreatment of animals and things like that, and really emotional stuff. So I'd say in terms of emotional, intelligent writing, I think it's up there with the Guardians movies with James Gunn, who I'm a big fan of. So that's high praise from me.
I think I gave it a 4 out of 5 overall, which is pretty good for Marvel for me.
Yeah, I would give it a 3.5, which is very high for me for Marvel. I don't have like, if you look at all my MCU ratings, like I have very rarely even give a 4. So for something to have a 3.5, because I just don't. There's not that many. I don't think I've ever given a 5 or a 5.5 to an MCU movie because maybe I have for like
Guardians too. You love Guardians too.
Yeah, maybe a 4.5. But like to me, like a 5 is really hard to get. It's like only a perfect movie can get a 5. That's just my rating style, but I think a 3.5 is still a very good rating for me. So
they're batting above their average in the past.
Absolutely.
Phases too.
And I want to see more of these characters, which is like, that's how you know it's a success, even though like the post-cred scene, like it looked worse and I didn't like how any of them looked, but I was like, yeah, I want to see what happens to these characters. So I guess I'll be tuning in to Avengers Doomsday.
Yeah.
What if Sam Wilson's team is just called the Avengers with a Z? Like, damn it.
I wouldn't mind it.
I don't understand why they're like, aren't Sam and Bucky like friends though? Like, why aren't they working together?
That one line in that post-credit scene? Did you talk to Sam about it? It's complicated.
Yeah, it didn't go well or something.
Like Bucky didn't have a choice. He got roped into the press conference. I guess I'm a new Avenger now.
Did you lose your job?
Right. Aren't you a sitting U.S. senator? Like, yeah. Don't you have more important?
Can't do this. All right, I think that's our final thoughts there on Thunderbolts / New Avengers. Jacob, do we know what is coming up next week on this podcast?
We actually don't. We're gonna have to talk about that off pod because I did not. We have not determined anything.
We'll figure that out and we'll let you know.
It will be a surprise.
Cool. New stuff on TV. Obviously, we've got Last of Us on TV, Andor on TV, which is a show that Colin refuses to watch.
Yeah, it sounds like old Colin's taking a break next week while these two and our boy, the Star Wars boy himself, Adam, come back and do Andor.
Well, I would love that, but I am going to put Colin in the Clockwork Orange machine and force him to watch Andor. So
fair.
You need a Lego treatment.
Yeah. Hold your eyes open.
Right.
All right, well, we'll figure something out, and we will return next week. In the meantime, check us out at Normies_like_us on all social media. Rate, review, subscribe. Write to us there and say, my favorite Thunderbolt was Ghost, and I like to imagine that in her mysterious dark room she saw blah, 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 blah. You know, we'd love to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on wherever, you get your podcasts. And we're the Normies.
And
where are we? Or are we the new Normies Like Us?
We were Normies Like Us with a little asterisk. But of course, we're now the new Normies.
That's right.
And I'm your host, Colin, and I'm addicted to super meth.
The Mike Guardian.
This is Jacob Tina Allegra de Fontaine.
All right. Don't wear it out,
Watch
folks.
Beat on HBO.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.